Pro-Palestinian protest at McGill University saw an escalation overnight as demonstrators took over the main administration building at the downtown campus. The escalation prompted a strong and swift response from Montreal police, leading to 15 arrests. Mike Armstrong reports.
Word went out to protesters at about 5 p.m. that a group of them had taken over and barricaded themselves inside McGill University's administration building. The call was made for supporters to head over with the slogan, "Escalate for Rafah." Protesters said 41 days into the encampment, the university still hadn't agreed to divest from Israel.
There were conversations and they failed to bring a proposal that met our demands in a material and significant way, which is why students have taken that step.
Well, the next step fell to police. Protesters have for the most part been left alone. That ended Thursday night. Police were seen inside the building and pulling down banners. A student group posted videos it said showed protesters in police custody. The crowd outside grew.
Intifada revolution!
Oh my god, these people are just so stupid. Fucking losers.
At about 7:30, tear gas and pepper spray were used by police. Protesters were eventually pulled out of the building.
Yes, that's right. I don't know what these white kids think they're doing. They think they're going to bring an end to the war in Gaza by fucking complaining at their white bitch university that divest from Israel.
University's president has said tensions have escalated in recent weeks and has called on police to do more. He says he's been baffled by some of the things police have watched and let happen. Mike Armstrong, Global News.
Freeland answering reporters' questions today about that question that keeps hanging over this government, of course, echoing Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc, what he said last week. But where does all of this leave Canadians' faith in our democracy? The top secret committee looking at foreign meddling didn't name names, but should voters know before they have to cast a ballot in the next federal election? Let's bring back the front bench. Sabrina Grover, Melanie Paradis, Gurtan Singh, and Rachel Aiello. Sabrina, first thing for you here is that obviously this government is trying to create this balance.
Am I going to upload the debate from last night? I'm not sure. Because, one, I was playing Call of Duty through fucking most of it. And two, I think the guy's, audio wasn't that great.
So you keep calling these people terrorists, but what they really are is just freedom fighters, dude. You keep calling them terrorists.
No, they're terrorists. So they're freedom fighters, but their stated objective is to exterminate the entire world of Jews. Is destroyed. So that would not have stopped the terror attacks. Israel would have literally... Every single Israeli citizen would have had to flee to some other country, and you would have to displace over 5 million fucking people.
So you don't think that Hamas would accept a two-state solution if one was...
Yeah, maybe I'll upload it. Sounds okay-ish.
Strike this balance
Thanks
between
for the donation,
as
Apex.
much information as they can give, but also not leave voters in the dark.
Nobody donated. I'm crazy.
Where does this leave Canadians, though?
I mean, I think the number one thing to understand about where the government is at right now is that they are in a tough position, right? Because intelligence and information are not evidence. And so it's a tough balance to strike between, you know, what is contained in these intelligence reports, which are led by a body that the Liberals started to...
Okay, this woman is a fucking retard. So what happened was there's a foreign interference investigation in Canadian politics. Basically, there were members of the Liberal Party that were giving classified information to countries like China, and they know specifically who did it, and the Liberal Party doesn't want to name names, so they're hiding it. I'm not sure exactly why. It might have something to do with Trudeau being behind it. But if they're not going to name names, that's a huge fucking problem, because now, you know, the Liberal Party is selling secrets to foreign countries. So why would I vote for them? Like, it's stupid.
To investigate this in 2018, and where the...
How much longer will Israel conflict last, you think?
I would say probably another year and a half. Ish. That'd be my guess. Thanks for the donation, though, Jalen. I was going to search for a video. Now I can't remember.
The public can come in on that. And I think there's still quite a bit of time to the next election, but that there's been a lot of things, checks and balances that the federal government has put in place in advance of that to start to make sure that people have trust in the democratic institutions. And I think the next step is to make sure that we depoliticize the conversation and move to party level and ensure that the parties are equipped with the right steps, with the right tools to be able to fight this at that level. Because, you know, as much as we can do at the federal level to prevent, national interference, where this interference is going to occur is at the ground level. And I think, the question that I would ask to conservatives who continue to politicize this is why their leader, why Pierre hasn't received the clearance to get the information himself and start working with his party to make sure that the controls are in place so that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, Melanie, that question has dogged Poilievre, but also, I mean, it's fair criticism for the leader of the Bloc Québécois, Yves-François Blanchet, who also doesn't have that clearance because he still wants to continue to tee off on this one. And to Sabrina's point, I mean, intelligence is not evidence, but the government is...
I don't know what the fuck she could possibly mean by that. That is total bullshit.
Continually being under pressure to at least give more information, because otherwise it feels like things are just left hanging.
So intelligence may not be evidence, but this intelligence has been reviewed by NSICOP, which is a terrible acronym. But for folks at home, NSICOP is a committee that is made up of some of the most trusted parliamentarians that we have today.
Okay, can we please take a break from all this Hamas shit I've heard enough of it? Stream after stream has been nothing but about it. Israel is in the right, the end. Can we please take a break from it to take about something else?
Modern man.
Sure. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. Appreciate it.
You think that's appropriate? Do the American people deserve to be abused like that, Mr. Fauci? Because you're not doctor. You're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes. No, I don't need your answer. I want to talk about this right here.
Mr. Chairman,
Fauci,
objection. Objection.
I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time, Mr. Raskin.
Gentlelady will suspend.
Mr. Chairman,
Point of order.
Just in terms of the rules of decorum, are we allowed to deny that a doctor is a doctor just because we don't want him to be a doctor?
Yes, because in my time, that man does not deserve to have a license. As a matter of fact, it should be revoked, and he belongs in
Gentlelady will
prison.
suspend.
Why is she holding up that picture?
The gentlelady should recognize the doctor as a doctor.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, is this what we have become? Is this what we have devolved into?
Dr. Fauci, I want to join my colleague from Florida in apologizing to you that some of our colleagues in the United States House of Representatives seem to want to drag your name through the mud. They're treating you, Dr. Fauci, like a convicted felon. Actually, you probably wish they were treating you like a convicted felon. They treat convicted felons with love and admiration. Some of them blindly worship convicted.
Can we please react to this caveman doc? It's really good.
Let me see, Dodo. Sure, maybe later. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Felons. Is there anything else you would like to say to the American people about your service to America during the course of the COVID-19 pandemic?
My main job during the COVID pandemic was to play a role with my team at the Vaccine Research Center to develop a safe and effective vaccine. And we did that in an unprecedented short period of time, never seen before in the annals of vaccinology. As we all know, that vaccine and those vaccines have resulted in saving of hundreds of thousands of lives in the United States and millions of lives throughout the world.
Another House oversight hearing means another opportunity for House Republicans, led by Marjorie Taylor Greene, the face of that party, to humiliate themselves in their interminable desperation to turn whatever they touch into a circus. Now, I don't
know how the hell Marjorie Taylor Greene got into Congress. It's still just baffling to me.
Today we're going to talk about how Trump's inflammatory language following his guilty verdict is actually going to hurt him more, and I interview former ethics czar under President Obama and CNN legal analyst Norm Eisen about the likelihood of a prison.
Can you provide evidence that shows babies can't be vegan? Apparently they can't take supplements. Babies are given supplements all the time. Any baby that's being breastfed is given an iron supplement, and there's also baby infant formula, which is loaded with supplements. That's literally all it is.
Sentence for Donald Trump, what it was like in the courtroom the moment the verdict was handed down, and whether he thinks this conviction makes subsequent convictions more likely. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen, and you're watching No Lie. So what's not really being discussed right now in the aftermath of Trump's conviction is how his reaction to this verdict is ultimately going to come back to bite him. So real quick, this is just a small sampling of what Trump's own comments have been in the aftermath of his conviction.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. But the real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong.
You know, what confuses the fuck out of me is in certain states, convicted felons can't vote. Your right to vote is taken away if you're a convicted felon. So how in the fuck is it the case that a convicted felon can run for president? If you're, like, considered not to have the, like, trustworthiness or mental acuity or whatever it is to vote, then how in the hell should you be allowed to run for president? It's kind of retarded.
I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent, and I think it's just a disgrace.
So it was the judge's fault, it was Biden's fault, it was immigrants, it was rigged, it was corrupt. Everybody else is to blame. Donald Trump is perfect, country's a mess, and he's going to fight until his dying breath. And let's be clear, this has been continued for days. Every opportunity Trump's had to get in front of a mic, he's attacked the judge, the case, the Biden administration, his mouthpieces, and his allies are doing the same thing. They're just rallying.
Yeah, dude, it's hilarious. He is attacking the judge that has to deal with sentencing. So it's like, I don't know who the hell his lawyers are, but if I was his lawyer, I would literally tape his mouth with fucking duct tape. Like he's just screwing himself over, and for no reason.
Behind him and demanding retribution on his behalf.
Give me 3 reasons I shouldn't fart right now, or else I'm letting one loose, bitch.
I cannot give a single reason for why you shouldn't fart, so just let it rip. Thanks for the donation on Wib.
For example, here's Rick Scott and Stephen Miller, just to keep it at 2 people.
Well, first off, this is completely rigged. I talked to Trump last night. He is going to stand for all of us and fight like hell. Our job is to do the exact same thing. We have to be clear. We are fed up, and we're not going to take this anymore. So in the Senate, we're going to do everything we can to block any appointments of the Biden administration that we can. We're not going to fund any more programs unless it's tied to public safety. We're going to stop, and we're going to make sure there's no money for this lawfare against Republicans, including Trump.
I want every Secretary of State. Are you purging your voting rolls of non-citizens right now? Is every Republican state AG opening investigations into voter fraud right now? Is every House committee controlled by Republicans using its subpoena power in every way it needs to right now? Is every Republican DA starting every investigation they need to right now? Is every donor off the sidelines and in the game, the big dollar guys, the rich guys, the wealthy guys? Every facet of Republican Party politics and power has to be used right now to go toe to toe with Marxism and beat these communists. That's the task, Jesse.
And of course, some of them are out there calling for war. Literally, Tim Pool, some loser internet provocateur who has a big audience on the right, tweeted the word war. NBC News had a report out about how Trump supporters are trying to dox jurors and post what they believe to be their addresses online. That they're posting violent threats about jurors, about prosecutors, about the judge, calling for them to be identified, to be hanged, to be killed. And just like on January 6th, with all of that going on, Donald Trump's sole priority here is to continue to rile up his base by repeating these lies, repeating these claims that he's the victim of some unjust prosecution here, which of course is just egging these people on more and more. And so the natural progression of this is that there will be violence. I don't know how or I don't know when, but right now this is at its boiling point. And rather than let out some steam to cool things off by, I don't know, telling the truth, Trump is out there every single day repeating the same lies that got these people worked up in the first place. But here's where this is going to backfire. Trump hasn't been sentenced yet. That's not happening until July 11th. And you are kidding yourself if you think that Judge Merchan isn't paying attention to what's happening right now.
Yeah, that is a long period in which Trump can say very stupid things.
Because, let's be clear, all Trump has to do is give the order to his little underlings to leave the jury.
Can you react at 4:04? Do you get the same amount of nutrients blending that much food instead of eating them whole?
$4.04. Let me see.
Great thing about the Vitamix too is that if you were to eat all these vegetables in one sitting, it would probably explode your intestine. It's just too much for your body to handle. But when you puree it like this and it's blended to such a fine, to such a fine extent, it's highly absorbable into your body.
You like creepypasta horror stories?
No, they're usually lame and shitty, so I don't usually like them. Thanks for the donation though, Jalen.
So your body's able to absorb more of the nutrients and fiber and everything else in here. So you're getting more nutrition than you ordinarily would, even if you were to...
Yeah, so it's true. If you blend up vegetables, it does break down some of the fiber, latex, stuff like that might be in the vegetables and makes it a bit easier for your body to absorb it. The real benefit is you don't have to chew. So if you can just drink something, you can consume much more of it versus spending like 2 hours chewing on food. But yeah, it's true. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Debate Mr. Girl on veganism.
If he's in chat right now, I can give a Discord link, but I don't think he's particularly interested in debating that topic. Thanks for the donation, Big Vegan.
Jurors alone, and they would. And the fact that he's opting not to do that, but instead inflaming tensions with yet more lies about this prosecution, more lies about the judge and Biden and Bragg, is sending a clear message to Judge Merchan that, far from feeling any remorse or contrition, he actually revels in the mayhem. He wants it. He wants the violence. So if Judge Merchan is looking for a justification to sentence him to a period of incarceration, that is exactly what he's getting right now. Like, we're on the precipice right now. Either Donald Trump is properly held to account for his crimes, the ones that he's currently showing zero remorse for committing, or he gets a slap on the wrist, along with the confirmation, by the way, that he is above the law, and then he'll be emboldened 10 times over to do it again, knowing that this justice system simply is not prepared to hold him accountable for 34 felony counts. So that's where we're at. What Judge Merchan opts to do next is going to determine whether a lawless criminal gets to keep committing crimes with virtual impunity or whether he recognizes, finally, that he's not above the law. Like, we already know that Trump, for his part, he's not going to stop. He's showing that to us right now. So now we wait to see whether the justice system has what it takes to hold him to account. But that In a bombshell turn of events, a number of Trump-aligned officials have now been charged in Wisconsin in connection with the 2020 fake elector scheme. Kenneth Chesebro, the former Trump campaign attorney, was charged with 1 count of forgery, a felony charge. Attorney Jim Troupis and ex-Trump campaign manager aide Michael Roman were also charged with forgery, also felony charges. The 3 defendants are scheduled for their initial court appearance on September 19th. If the men are convicted...
Does this guy have gyro or just lost bunch of weight?
Alright, here I'm demonstrating for you guys and gals a straight barbell curl. This is a great exercise for people who...
Does this guy have gyro? What is gyro?
Struggle with bicep development. So again, the trick to this is to not cheat. What you want to do, make sure that you lock your elbows out at the bottom and without swinging your...
Those are not particularly good barbell bicep curls.
body in any way, bring the barbell up.
Oh my god.
To bring it to your face, make sure that you work the full long head of the bicep, because that is one of the functions of it, is to rotate the shoulder like that. Another trick is to keep your wrist...
Well, yeah, Blaha did lose weight. Part of it is because he's dieting. Another part of it is just because he's gone off steroids as well. So he's smaller, weaker, but I think he has dieted down to lose some body fat. He said he's on a 100% plant-based diet now. Like, he's not eating any meat, dairy, or eggs. So yeah, thanks for the donation, though, Anonymous.
They face a maximum sentence of 6 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. The charges stem from their attempts to throw out hundreds of thousands of absentee ballots, but...
Can we react to this doc soon?
Sure. Maybe we'll react to that next if, Frank hasn't uploaded any new content. Yeah, sure, why not?
Only in the state of Wisconsin's 2 most Democratic strongholds. The effort was rejected in the Wisconsin Supreme Court.
My absolute Spielberg, let's give these 2 a watch.
Luke Belmar, a crypto trading bio.
First time.
Okay, we can give those a watch in just a moment. Thanks for the donation, Mark Sisson University.
Court in December of 2020, with one justice telling now indicted Jim Troupis, this lawsuit, Mr. Troupis, smacks of racism. Again, the suit sought to undermine the election results, but only in the state's 2 most diverse counties. From there, despite the effort getting swatted down in court, 10 Republicans immediately went to the state capitol and signed paperwork claiming that they were the state's legitimate electors, and then actually transmitted that false paperwork to Congress and other government agencies.
Wow, that is insane. Like, it's so hilarious, too, that you see Republicans saying the election results were tampered with when they tried to tamper with the election results.
And of course, the Trump team used that false paperwork as a predicate to then claim that the outcome of the election was in doubt, all in an effort to prevent certification of the election results in Congress. In other words, Trump-aligned folks forged documents that would purposefully obfuscate the outcome, and then other Trump-aligned folks pointed to those very documents as proof that the outcome was uncertain, even though it was their own team who'd given them that justification in the first place. Circular logic, all for the express purpose of cheating in the election. And by the way, this strategy was obvious. On December 27th, 2020, Trump was on a call with Acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen and Acting Deputy Attorney General Richard Donoghue. Donoghue took contemporaneous notes which were provided to the House Oversight Committee, and those notes show that Trump said that he pressured Rosen and Donoghue to falsely declare that the election was illegal and corrupt, even after the Justice Department had not uncovered evidence of widespread voter fraud. Quote, just say that the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman. In other words, this was all part of Trump's scheme. The confusion created as the result of competing slates of electors wasn't an unfortunate byproduct here, it was the whole point. Trump needed that confusion, and these electors and officials knowingly gave that to him. To say that these charges are warranted in Wisconsin is an understatement. Granted, they shouldn't come as a surprise. Roman and Chesbro were both charged in the ongoing Fulton County RICO prosecution against Trump and 18 other co-defendants, and Roman was just indicted in Arizona. And let's be clear, far from running away from their involvement in this scheme,
Please watch the first 3 minutes, and feel free to continue if you find any ments.
Hey, all right, sure, I'll do that for you. Thanks for the donation, Batman.
Does it make you full of envy that I have a succulent cock that many men want to suck? Are you going to ban me now, you fucking coward?
No, because I've been told that I have a really nice dick. So, that's just fine. Thanks for that donation, John Zook.
So, there was a rumor going around that you died. What's up with that?
That I died?
Yeah.
Fuck you, man. It takes a lot to kill me.
Like what?
Fucking died. Oh, you mean when I was recently in the hospital? Yeah. And then fucking I flatlined for 2 hours, and then they brought me back.
Really?
They gave me 500 milligrams of testosterone, 1,000 milligrams of Tren.
Nice.
Tren. All of a sudden, my fucking eyes started blinking, and I came back, and I was as strong as a motherfucker. So I don't know who told you I fucking died, but
that's just what I heard, man.
I could have collected the insurance money.
You're another cyborg.
Yeah, what's with you?
Some of your buddies over at Palm Beach Gym started a rumor that you died.
No, they're a bunch of
and I got a couple text messages.
A bunch of fucking stupid cunts over there. What the
Yeah,
fuck
it's
do
about
they
time
know?
you-
Why do you think we left?
Yeah, it's about time you brought your sorry
I know
ass
why you
over here.
fucking guys left. That's not it. I'm trying to get you guys for them to allow you to come back in there.
No, thank you.
You know.
Yeah, I'll pass.
It's too
What do you mean?
crowded
There's a
there.
couple of real whores there that want to fucking suck your dick. Oh, that's right. You guys are into trannies. Fuck you, man.
Yeah, okay, buddy. That's your flavor. You're gonna dress up. Where's Jason?
I saw these trannies online. I swear to God, they look like women. Some of them look like women. Then all of a sudden, you see they have a dick. Some guys send me stuff where the girl.
Have you been hanging out with Lenny?
Dude, everybody who hangs around Lenny starts watching fucking trans porn. Like, it's so weird.
No, but
You
there's
sure?
a video. I think I sent it to you. This girl's being chased by somebody. So she runs into an alley. The guy follows her into an alley. So she doesn't know what to do to get out of it. All of a sudden, she turns her back like she's peeing like a man, and she's got a water bottle. She starts squirting water out. The guy sees it from the back, and he thinks, "Oh, it's a fucking guy. It's a tranny." He walks away.
Well, most of those sick fucks would just rape her anyway. Like Leonard and Jason. And Jay, actually. Jay's in the trannies. All of you fucking guys are in the trannies. It's unbelievable.
I'm not into trannies, cocksucker.
Like eating pussy.
Why would I want a tranny when I can fuck pussy? I get pussy all the time. I have more ass than a toilet seat. The women in my fucking age group, not only that, but younger women even want to suck my dick.
That's great.
It is, but you know.
You're 68 now, right?
67, don't push it.
Do you tell them your age?
Fucking right I do. If they don't like it, you should see my profile online. I tell them my age. I said, don't try and change me. I won't try and change you. You like me the way I am or not.
You know, everyone's going to go on every dating website now trying to find Big Richard's profile.
What's your name on there?
Which dating website is it, Richard?
I'm not going to tell you my name, you assholes. You'll be making up phony, what do you call it, and then contacting me.
Big Dick
Just
69.
Just keep my fucking semen spots all over.
He just wants you to spot him because he wants your balls dangling over his face.
You want my sweaty balls, I'll teabag you.
I'm sure you would, you fucking creep.
Fucking strong.
I gotta get on that trend like you, that good stuff.
Strong. I'm taking large doses of estrogen.
Are you?
I want to get bitch tits, so when I become a tranny.
Speaking of large doses of estrogen, he did the mullet. Oh my God.
That's a lot of weight for a Democrat.
Look at that fucking haircut. You're a handsome.
I cannot believe you did that. Turn around, let's see the...
I actually think it's cool.
You've officially transformed into white trash. Congratulations.
No,
I'm going to look at double wides later.
That's fucking cool looking. I'm not kidding, man.
Like Mark Gastineau. Very nice.
Yeah, I'm rocking the 80s. I just
Alright, might watch some more of this in a bit.
Hacking multi-millionaire with a goal to change the world, and on the way, help other like-minded people fulfill their fullest potential. Coming from very humble beginnings, Luke was born in Argentina and traveled to America alone when he was just 16, with nothing but $200 and a suitcase to his name, in hopes of a better life.
I started in a small village in Argentina. At the age of 16, I was fortunate enough to have the ability to come to the United States with $200 in a suitcase.
Even at a young age, he understood that school was a trap, designed to enslave people into mediocre jobs they don't enjoy. So instead, he worked odd jobs cleaning floors and washing basketball courts to save up money.
Pressure washing basketball.
What if this happened to you?
Sam Sulek had the biggest roid rage after this guy bumped into him. Biggest roid rage after this guy bumped into him.
Oh, that guy does the, like, TikTok videos or something. I know that guy.
I've seen this guy. Oh, this guy. And Sam's not the first guy he has done it to either. Here's him paying for the price. And he even got the world's strongest man, Eddie Hall. He was getting ready to run a whole marathon.
Yeah, I've seen that guy. I don't know. I wouldn't really take it personally. I know it's just for content. Thanks for the donation, Jalen.
Courts, cleaning toilets, flipping wings at a Buffalo Wild Wings, sleeping in my car for a time being. It was about like 4 or 5 months.
Still desperate to change his life for the better, eventually Luke dove deep into online businesses like e-commerce and crypto, which he was able to master, eventually making him so rich that money basically lost all meaning, leading him to create an inner circle called Capital Club, where to this very day he inspires and helps thousands become as rich and successful as himself.
I will build the largest decentralized entrepreneurial network in the world, known as Capital Club. My goal is to have 1 million entrepreneurs from all over the world, focused on creating, multiplying, and preserving wealth and opportunity for all the members.
What a nice and inspiring story, right? Well, maybe think again. Because we all have our secrets, and what's hiding behind the curtains of this show is a man with skeletons in his closet far beyond what he can contain. Starting with his actual name, Luke Belmar, or should I say Lucas Emmanuel Uriah Tice. Now, by no means is it a crime not to use your real name on the internet. Just look at someone like Travis Scott. That's not his real name either. And to be fair, Belmar is actually Luke's dad's surname, which could make sense as to why he would have chosen it to use as his alias, while his real name is completely different. What doesn't make sense though is that if you try and Google his real name, you likely won't find anything. But why hide?
There's a lot wrong with this video, but please react to this part. Wall Street brothers do this thing where they say that dairy milk is actually not that bad for the environment and it's economically better.
One of the main reasons that people buy oat milk is because they perceive it to be better for the environment compared to cow's milk. Oatly heavily emphasizes climate sustainability in their advertising. According to McKinsey, 23% of people who drink plant-based milk do so for environmental reasons. Oatly claims to be a science-based company and publishes statistics to show how much better for the environment their product is compared to cow's milk. As the great Mark Twain once said, there are 3 types of lies: lies, damned lies, and statistics. Even if statistics are technically true, without the proper context they can be selectively presented to provide a misleading portrayal of reality. In 2022, the UK's Advertising Standards Authority forced Oatly to take down one of its ads. The ad claimed that Oatly creates 73% less CO2 than dairy products. Oatly sells many products, and there are also many different dairy products. Oatly selectively compared one of their lowest carbon products to one of the highest carbon dairy products to come up with a 73% number.
Okay.
Since then, Oatly has adjusted its marketing to instead say that its products generate between 44 and 80% lower carbon impacts than cow milk. While this is probably technically true, just looking at the direct carbon statistics paints an incomplete picture. Oatly calculates this by looking at the lifetime emissions of a cow, which is mostly methane, and divides this by the amount of milk the cow produces. This fails to consider the fact that dairy cows are slaughtered for their meat at the end of their useful lives. Some of the methane emissions.
So that's not true. If a dairy cow has lived for too long, they can't actually be used for meat consumption because of mad cow disease. I know this because I was actually filming around slaughterhouses, and I learned this because you'll see trucks specifically containing older dairy cows. They'll have specific trucks for transporting corpses of dairy cows. They can't be used for meat production. So they'll be used for leather. I think that meat can maybe be used as dog food, but they can't actually sell it to humans because of mad cow disease. I also don't see how this changes the emissions calculation. If X amount of CO2 is produced to produce X amount of milk, whether you do anything with the cow later, that doesn't change the amount of CO2 emissions.
Here's a picture of Maui on the day he was picked up and brought to the shelter. It has been 8 years. And I have loved this cat with every fiber in my being. Hi Christy TTT.
Oh my god, what a handsome boy. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my god. Wow, so goddamn orange. That's amazing. Thanks for the donation, Ethan, though.
Man. I know a lot of people are going to get offended and pissed off by this video, but this shit had me in tears, bruh.
Is that a monitor lizard? Okay. Thanks for the donation, Killing Titan.
Should also be allocated to the meat, thereby reducing the allocation to the milk. Also, remember that up to 40% of a dairy cow's diet consists of byproducts. This organic waste would emit methane if it were allowed to decompose in a landfill. When the cow digests...
Yeah, so that's not true. They're mostly given either, what you call? They're given either forage, so that could be like corn stalks, soybean stalks, alfalfa sprouts, or not alfalfa sprouts, alfalfa like hay, or they're just being fed corn and soybeans. That's the majority of their diet. So that's not true. I don't know where the fuck he's getting the 40% figure. They're eating fucking lemon peels. Fuck you.
This organic waste, when the cow digests these byproducts, it produces methane. Thus, the cow gets blamed for methane that would have been emitted anyway. But there's an even more fundamental problem with these comparisons. Obviously, milk produces some greenhouse gas emissions, so if you want to reduce your carbon footprint, you should stop drinking milk, right? What would be the best thing to replace it with? Water seems like an obvious choice.
Water has no nutritional value, you idiot.
Water production generates almost zero greenhouse.
Will you watch this? Also, Shawn is live.
You're a fucking hypocrite, Hasanabi. Sure, that sounds kind of interesting.
It might be helpful. Again, I think carnivore is good. I mean, make sure you get enough fat. I don't know what you do. Maybe you cut out dairy. Maybe I cut out eggs. Maybe go lion diet. Maybe go, pure beef, salt, and water. Go higher fat. Make sure you're focusing on your sleep. Make sure you're not being sedentary. Make sure you're active. Make sure you line up with the circadian rhythm. All those things are going to contribute positively to your recovery. It's not just about diet. So that's how I would approach that. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. All right, so back to the exercise with Sydney. Yeah, I mean, gosh, don't be sedentary. Yes, a carnivore diet is absolutely appropriate for really anyone, regardless of exercise. Again, my obviously bias is yes, you should start exercise when you feel good. Start exercising, at least how let's put it that way. So, most people that started doing this diet, and before it was called carnivore diet, before I popularized the name carnivore, back in, what was it, 2019, when I wrote my book, or published my book rather.
I think he might have banned
book, by the
me
way, if you guys
on
haven't
his
seen the book.
channel, so I don't know if my comments will
For
show
Father's
up.
Day might be a good gift for people. If you want to give something, instead of giving your dad socks, give him a damn book on the carnivore diet and see what he thinks on that. But yeah, I mean, the majority of people that came to this diet were not exercise people. They were people that were really sick, and they used it to, again, put diseases into remission and so on and so forth without exercise. Now, like I said, when you start feeling better and you start feeling healthy, I think you should. I think that's very important. All right. We got Miss Infinity. Don't eat meat. And then further down, without me. I like that. Tay Alien. General carnivore advice for hormonal acne. Well, I would certainly look at dairy as a component. I think that is, in my experience, most people that still continue to have skin issues are probably related to dairy. So that would be number one. Again, like I said, the sort of the default advice when you're already been on.
Shawn looks like the thumb people in Spy Kids.
Yeah, he does. An old wrinkly thumb. Thanks for the donation, Grandam.
3 months. I mean, because, a lot of times it takes 6 weeks, 8 weeks just to adapt. And most people's benefits start appearing at least by 3 months. Some people certainly it's a lot sooner. For a lot of people, some people within days, like, oh my God, my guts feel better, my blood glucose is normalized. But, and why do I say 3 months? Well, because I collected data on about 12,000 of you guys doing this diet, and I specifically asked, when did you note the major improvements? And most people by 3 months saw something. All right, Burns Aquatics. Oh, that's interesting. I'm at Snohomish Aquatic Center with my son right now. Hi from Michigan, Dr. Baker. Good to see you, man. Or ma'am, I'm not sure which. Jones R227. I've been strict carnivore for a couple of years, but do not have lost any weight. I have visceral fat. What can I do without starving myself? Well, and here's what I took. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. There is, I certainly do consultations individually. So if you want like a detailed response, we can talk about what may or may not be going on. That's certainly a possible. I think you can go to the link in the bio from YouTube, or go to carnivore.diet, and you can book a 30-minute consult with me. I do that 5 days a week, basically. But yeah, carnivore itself may get you to a certain level, and it may be enough. It may not be. For many people, it is. It may have to do with how much you're eating. It might have to be with how much fat you're eating or how much fat you're not eating. It might have to do with what else you're doing, what other levers you can pull. So, a lot of things that go into that. Truth-telling vanity for struggling with buying sweets, candy, and any tips over. Well, first of all, don't buy this stuff, right? Just don't buy it. Don't don't go to the store hungry. Don't buy garbage, because if you have it in your house, you're going to eat it. That's just the way it is. So get it out of your house. That's step one. Step two, cravings are going to happen. What's your plan? Yeah, well, what's your plan for cravings? If you don't have a plan for cravings, then you are planning to fail, literally. So again, don't go in without a plan. So what could your plans be? I can tell you some suggestions sometimes help. So often when we have cravings, they are tied to hormonal surges. In particular, one called ghrelin. Ghrelin will peak for a lot of people around 8 p.m. And that's when you're hungry. And then you start looking around, and you know where that candy is. You're going to find it, right? Even if it's in the back, way in the back somewhere, you know where it is, and you find and eat it, right? So if you don't want to do that, which I think may be a good idea, maybe not, giving into these cravings, what can you do instead? Well, you got to know those cravings only last for a set period of time, typically about 30 to 45 minutes, or how long cravings last, because these hormones will surge. Here's like a sort of case in point to sort of put some more clarity behind this. If you ever it's been nighttime, maybe you had dinner earlier, and you're just kind of hungry. Just looking around, looking in the cabinets. I just want something. I want something to snack on before I go to maybe something sweet. And you don't find anything. You're like, oh, damn it, I don't get anything. But you go to bed without it, right? You wake up the next morning and you're not hungry. Why is that? You know, it's like literally 8, 9, 10 hours later, you were hungry earlier, but now you're not hungry. Why would that be? Well, again, it's because of these hormonal fluctuations. And so, again, if you realize that it's a hormone thing, you realize that's time limited, then you can have a plan. What can I do for 30 minutes? What can I do for 45 minutes? Can I distract myself? Can I go for a walk? Can I exercise? Can I call someone on the phone? Can I read something, watch something? Who knows? I mean, can I do something that I can eat that's better for me, right? You know, maybe I'll have some kind of carnivore appropriate snack. Maybe I will just drink a bunch of fluid. I mean, that literally works. I mean, you literally can fill your belly up full of water, and that'll kind of keep.
Will
hunger
the
away for like 30,
cannibal
45
diet
minutes.
cure
Maybe
my
you don't need it.
herpes?
So
No.
have a plan in place, right? But don't buy this stuff. Don't bring it in here. Alex NX, have you had anybody claim to have improved hearing? I have felt uncomfortable. My hearing is better, but I suspect it's due to higher brain function, so I'm able to assume and process words better. I have heard that. I have heard some people claim that their hearing has been better. I mean, a lot of visual people, a lot of people say they can see better. So yeah, I mean, I think there's some general improvements that can happen neurologically, brain function wise for sure. Inflammation might be driving some of the hearing loss. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it can happen. I've seen it before. Pete the Squatchy saying thanks. We are in the last days. Is saying question: are electrolytes bad for people with kidney problems? No. I mean, again, there's always caveats to that, but I mean, you know, I mean, it's like a lot of times if you have kidney issues, they'll put you on a medication because you might retain potassium. So I mean, it depends. I mean, I mean, you need electrolytes, obviously, but like I said, I guess I would just have to say it depends. Burns Aquatics, is the quality of fat in pork worse than in beef, or is it just the ratio of fat to protein? I mean, again, this is another one of those it depends questions. I mean, pork is eaten around the world as the #1 animal meat in the world, I believe, largely due to the consumption of pork in Asia. Remember, there are 4.5 billion of the world's 8 billion people live in Asia, and they all eat pork, or most of them do, right? So, and a lot of Asians live a long, long time, particularly those in Japan and Macau and Hong Kong, and they eat a hell of a lot of pork. So
Japanese do not eat high amounts of pork, so he's lying.
There are many, many people that just don't do well with pork for whatever reason. You know, I personally think that beef tends
Wonder if it
to
has
be,
something to do with the
quote, unquote,
parasites.
safer than most other meats, most other animal meats, even though most animal meats are fine. It just tends to be the better tolerated one. Beef and lamb, I should say. I think they're equally on footing there. You know, I mean, yeah, I mean, are there differences between the fat content of qualitative difference between the fat content between pork and beef? Yeah, of course. Different amounts of things like oleic acid versus stearic acid, and they may have some subtle differences to people. But in general, I can't, with a broad brush, just say beef is always better than pork, because it's not. But I would say that given most people's, at least people on the carnivore diet that I'm familiar with, most people tend to gravitate towards beef, maybe tolerate beef more so often than pork. So, but anyway, try it and see how you do. 2:30, yeah, doc, I don't eat egg whites because of an allergy, so I eat only the yolks. However, they make me feel tired an hour after eating them. Any ideas as to why? Yeah, I mean, you know, egg yolks, the reason a lot of people have allergies is often protein related, right? Protein tends to be more allergenic, I guess, in a way. And egg yolks are not free of protein. You know, if you did a nutrition search, yes, yolks are where all the fat is, basically, or the vast majority of the fat.
The most common food allergies are dairy, and then secondly, it would be eggs. So I don't know why you'd say that. Eggs are, I think, the second most common food allergy.
Time as your gut heals further, so that might be something that you might be considering. The other thing is, if you're eating a lot of egg yolks and a lot of fat at one time, it may just be too much fat at one time. Just like when I earlier talked about too much protein at one time, equally too much fat in one go could potentially lead to gastrointestinal irritation. Stephen Thurman, are you working on a large project involving carnivore doctors and health insurance companies? Am I mistaken? Yes, I have a company called Rivero. I'm the co-founder and chief medical officer of. We are a digital healthcare platform that is licensed in all 50 states. We are onboarding. We've got something like 11,000 patients on our waiting list, and we're bringing them on slowly. We just, in the last few months, started bringing our first cohorts in. We are hiring physicians to cover all 50 states and other healthcare providers, health coaches, and so yeah, we are going to be a huge.
Vegan Daddy donated $2. Last video was more interesting, and I was invested. This is boring, carny trash. Fuck you and the donator for making me watch this trash. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Well, I'm waiting to see him respond to the debate challenge, but thanks for the donation, Vegan Daddy.
And then eventually we'll get on with the payers, I would say. Stephen,
who do you think will die first, Eddie Abu or Sverige?
Carnivore's great for us.
Likely Sverige, because he's probably going to commit suicide once he gets arrested.
Include eggs. I wouldn't include dairy. I would just go beef, salt, and water, or beef, lamb, and water, the best you can. And that's what I would do. Anyway. Gene Richards, 120 pounds, 6 foot. When I started carnivore, up to 155, gave 3 pounds a month. There you go. It's not just about weight loss. Like I said, it kind of normalizes people's weight. If you're too skinny, it makes you put on weight. If you're too fat, it makes you lose weight a lot of times. So anyway. All right, what else we got here? Matt's gone fishing. Any experience with carnivore diet or suffering from mast cell disease? Yeah, I've seen a few. Not a few, more than a few, several, probably dozen now that have had mast cell activation syndrome or mast cell disease, and it has been helpful. But it takes a while. It's one of those things that takes a while. And you might have to, again, be very mindful of the type of meat you eat, the age of the meat you eat, those types of things. But yeah, it can be helpful. David, a certain type of steak in 2020 was $13 a pound, now $56 a pound. I'm in Canada. I'm sorry to hear that. That's the.
Japan consumes the least pork of the Asian regions at around 30%. Vietnam consumes the most pork at around 70%. Japanese life expectancy is around 84 years. Vietnamese live approx 75 years.
Yeah, not surprising. Shawn is just a massive bullshitter, dude. I don't know where he gets the idea that people who eat a lot of pork live longer. Just retarded. And he mentioned Japan specifically. Japanese people don't eat much pork. The reason why their life expectancy is so high is because they eat very little saturated fat. Thanks for the donation, though, shitfuck.
Desperation, I can't find any chocolate or cake or donuts or ice cream. But generally, it's sugary food that really people seem to be even more addicted to. Yeah, dark sky, the NAC supplement. Yeah, again, that's another one. The NAC, N-acetylcysteine, is one of those things that a lot of people are talking about for that long COVID stuff. Back to that question. Pocahontas, 1962. I walked an hour today. Well, good for you. Awesome. The ASP hole. Ground beef and eggs are effective. Just prioritize health. There you go. Vegan gains. Why are you ignoring every one of my debate channels? First, I don't know if there's actually the Vegan Gains guy, but that's the first I've heard of it. So sorry, that is the first time it's been brought to my attention. So maybe we'll have to do that. I just did a wacko vegan activist the other day. Just total nut job, right? Just wacko screaming at me the whole time. I've got, my tolerance for that is about once every 6 months or so, maybe. Maybe we set something up towards the latter part of the year or something like that. We could do something like that perhaps. I'm certainly open to it. But anyway. All right, we got Miss Infinity. I have Master
I've heard all of that shit before. Everybody who's told me, "Oh, I'll be free in 6 months," yeah, it always falls through. So yeah, I don't know about that. I guess we'll see. But I want to see what he says to the guy who said fight vegan gains. That'd be kind of funny.
I think he's pretending not to have seen your message to avoid you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. There's no way he hasn't seen. And I think he's been deliberately deleting some of my comments on his videos. So, yeah, I think he's full of shit. Thanks for the donation, though, Stitching No Fap.
I mean, that's probably some of that. You know, I don't enjoy long distance running. It's just not something I'm really built for or have any desire to do. I have. I mean, I've done, you know, half marathon on the rowing machine. I've done long cardio sessions from time to time. But I find my time is limited, and you know, like I said, I just don't have time to spend, you know, an hour running somewhere. It's just, and I don't, like I said, it's not something. It's not. It detracts from my goals as an athlete. You know, my goals as an athlete are to be quick and fast and explosive, powerful, strong, and running doesn't give me that, right? And Bielecki from Melbourne, Australia. Hi, everybody. Dreaming Noother or something like that. Any tips on getting family members to incorporate more meat into their diets? I've told them what I do, and I've told them why a few times, but I feel like they just won't do it. You know, again, be an example for people. That's probably step one. Be a consistent example. Show them something that they might want, right? They're going, and I don't know what you mean by family members, kids. You know, I'm not. You know, who in the family are we talking about? Is it spouse? Is it brothers, sisters? I'm not sure your living situation looks like you're maybe an older adult. So, be a very convincing example. That's the first thing you got to do, because you know, you can talk all you want, and until you can, you know, show me the money, so to speak, then you know, no one's going to listen. All right, here's we in the last days. March 2024, my A1C was 10.8. Fast forward to June 2024, my A1C 6.5. Thanks, doctor, for carnivore diet tips. Yeah, there you go. So again, you've certainly improved your diabetes significantly. So you are now from clearly poorly controlled diabetes to well-controlled diabetes, almost out of the diabetic range. You know, get that A1C down another, you know, a few tenths of a point. You'll be out of the diabetic range in the pre-diabetic range. If you can get it down another full point, you'll be non-diabetic range. That'd be awesome. All right, fight vegan gains in a cage match. All right, Shay Alexis, cardio otherwise twice a week, really hard for interval.
Oh, somebody is a little bit of a fucking scaredy. Like, to be fair, he's 57 years old and I'm 33, but kind of funny reaction. Isn't he doing jiu-jitsu? Like, I mean, we could have a sparring session and just roll.
What the point of the debate is, other than just, it's really for entertainment, because, you know, I'm not going to change his mind. He's not going to change my mind. Most of the people tuning in are not going to change their mind. So it's almost just for entertainment and for clicks. But hey, I'm fine with that. Because the more clicks I get, the more views I get, the more people I get to influence. Vegan gains, I think, is probably, and really in my view, veganism is probably kind of peaked, probably in many ways. All right, Pete.
All right, well, that's Shawn Baker. Not expecting to get a debate out of him, but we'll
gas
see.
Emissions. But there's a problem with this. Water has 0 calories and 0 nutritional value. Thus, if you replace all of your milk with water, you need to eat more food to replace the nutritional content you used to get from milk. The extra value.
Okay, this video is just fucking stupid.
What are we missing here? Is Luke just a very private person who's always kept to himself, only recently joining social media? Well, not really. Even though checking his accounts might lead you to believe that he's only been around since 2020, that couldn't be further from the truth, as Capital Club itself was started in 2019. So something's not adding up here. Digging deeper, I found out that he didn't avoid using his real name because it didn't sound good or something. Instead, he's hiding it, along with any public information.
Can we please react to this ad for this video?
Maybe, Dodo, maybe. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
That isn't published by himself. You see, in 2016, there was a terrible terrorist attack that happened at a Christmas market in Berlin that shocked the world.
This morning, Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel at the site of the country's deadliest attack in decades.
The first images of that truck barreling towards the Christmas market. Moments later, you can see people fleeing in panic.
And it just so happens that none other than Luke Belmar was there to witness the tragedy with his girlfriend, which led to him later giving an interview that was published to the Irish Examiner news outlet. He had given the article a picture of himself and his girlfriend, as well as stating his real name, which was later completely removed with no further explanation, most likely after Luke's request. So why is he hiding it? With such a humble story behind him, surely there shouldn't be any shame in his past. Well, as it turns out, there is so much more to hide than just it.
Hi VG. I hope that you are doing great tonight. So, check out what Alex Jones is doing to pay off the $1.5 billion.
Alex Jones to sell InfoWars to pay $1.5 billion debt to Sandy Hook families. Alex Jones agreed to liquidate his assets, settling the $1.5 billion owed to Sandy Hook victims over his false claims about the 2012 massacre. The decision may lead Jones losing ownership of InfoWars, his conspiracy media platform. Initially resistant, Jones succumbed to legal pressures from the Sandy Hook families after being found liable for defamation. That's interesting. I wonder how much money he would even be able to get out of that. Well, get fucked, Alex Jones. I remember I had a friend who unironically watched Alex Jones, and I was actually watching a fair bit of Alex Jones content because my dumbass friend would want to watch it with me. And he was spreading so much nonsense about Sandy Hook day after day after day, saying they're paid actors, it never really happened, it's a psyop, all this shit. And then in court, like, he just flat out denied all of this when there's, like, just irrefutable video evidence proving he said it. It's kind of insane. Thanks for the donation, though, finger my ass.
His name. So, not only does Luke's entire story not add up, it was likely completely fabricated to hide the truth and make him look better in the public eye as a zero-to-hero, self-made millionaire. For starters, Luke likely never came to America alone at just 16, because you can't exactly call it being alone when you have close
You can't post links in chat.
family members in the same country. On top of that, his brother Nate actually had a failed acting and modeling career in America that they've been trying to censor from the internet. An interview of him back in the day shows him going by his real name. However, much like everything else, it's also been deleted. Yet, this entire attempt at censorship has not gone nearly as smoothly as the brothers would have hoped, because the woman who interviewed Nate was not willing to delete the video after Luke's request, leading him to offer her money to remove it, or else he would have all of her accounts wiped from the internet. And after she refused, that's exactly what he did. This then led to the interviewer releasing alleged private messages between the two, as well as saying she's going to sue them for harassment, showing how far Luke is willing to go just to hide something he doesn't want you to see. Pretty ironic for someone who always preaches to look for the truth and see through.
I am a person that's seeking for truth. I am deeply desperate to know what the fuck is happening.
No, I'm not going to debate meat eaters via text. That's a waste of my time.
Did you see this? He's such a liar. Funny how vegan doctors don't have problems with their licenses and credentials, unlike carnitards.
reasons, I would have never gone here. I mean, it's one of those things where, I have an active medical license. I can go back and practice medicine any day if I want. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, he got his medical license pulled because I think the main reason was he was doing weird shit with surgeries. He ended up arguing it in court and he got his medical license back, but he says he doesn't want to do, become a doctor again. I don't know.
Well, I was going to say, she was struck off in 2017, but that was overturned in 20...
Okay, the audio in this video is fucking god-awful, but yeah, I know the whole story. Shawn Baker was claiming that he was performing a new type of surgery using a technique that has fewer complications, and then some older doctors who weren't familiar with it reported him to some medical board, and then they revoked his license. That doesn't make fucking any goddamn sense to me. So there's probably something more to the story. He was also, he also admitted that he was trying to get his patients on a carnivore diet and eat nothing but meat. And he was telling them to try to not take medications. So that probably has more to do with it than, the surgery claim he made. Thanks for that donation, though, Grandam.
Let's look deeper into Capital Club, Luke's private community founded in 2019, which in the past has cost up to $15,000 just to join. Recently, however, we can see that it has shifted its focus to acquiring a wider range of members by dropping the price to just $369 a year. Now this means that Luke is directly competing with other gurus in the space like Iman Gadzhi and Andrew Tate, which inevitably opens the doors for very young kids to join, creating a number of problems, especially when you consider that, just like Andrew Tate's The Real World, it features an ambassador program, which is more commonly called a multi-level marketing operation or just a classic pyramid scheme. Neither, however, have a good reputation, and even Iman Gadzhi, who isn't the most squeaky clean guy himself, didn't take the risk of adding that aspect to his course. To be fair, Capital Club does state that you have to be over 18 to join the ambassador program, but when has that ever stopped anyone?
Mike donated $2. Would a death note be more powerful than a nuclear weapon? Yeah, absolutely. It would be far more powerful than a nuclear weapon because deterrence wouldn't be a thing. So nuclear deterrence prevents the use of nuclear weapons because if you use a nuclear weapon, there's going to be a retaliatory nuclear strike. So nuclear weapons basically become inert due to that deterrence principle. A death note could kill anyone, anywhere. You wouldn't have to worry about deterrence, and nobody would even know if it was a weapon used. You could orchestrate the death to appear as though it's an accident, or death from natural cause. Thanks for the donation, though, Mike.
Especially when they never actually try to verify it in any way. Now, I haven't mentioned anything about the club's content itself, but even that hasn't gotten the best rep from people inside, saying it's all just motivational content and nothing constructive that could actually help someone build a business or learn how to make money. Now, since Luke is someone who's always been passionate about making money, early on in his journey he ventured into the world of crypto. And being prevalent in the scene, you probably aren't surprised to hear that he's involved in multiple NFT projects. For example, back in 2021, Luke was involved in a project called Divine Anarchy, and even created an anonymous Twitter account which was later linked back to him. But instead of it being a scam or a rug pull, Luke actually failed on this project out of pure incompetence by hiring a bad developer who made a fatal mistake which, long story short, led to people being charged gas fees even after the minting process of the NFT was over because of a mistake with the contract, resulting in more than $2 million being completely lost in the process, effectively wiping the money for the community out of existence. And while this wasn't an intentional scam, it's definitely not a good look for someone who's supposed to be one of the biggest and most knowledgeable members of the crypto space.
None of these finance bros or crypto bros know anything about finance or crypto. They make all of their money off the video content they make, telling people that they're experts. They don't make any money off of actual investments they do.
Naturally, a great way for Luke to show himself to new audiences and build his massive personal brand as quickly as possible was through podcast appearances, being seen on almost every well-known show in the finance space, as well as collaborating with numerous people. But when he appeared on Bia Hez's nonchalant podcast, things did not go as smoothly as expected. The whole episode felt like Luke was not in control like usual, since Bia Heza was seen challenging his viewpoints multiple times.
You see bots. You've heard this concept of NPCs. NPCs are people that operate off of default scripts. Your brother
pointed at you.
Yes, because your brother was operating off of a default script. It's okay, brother. It's not a big deal. Your brother was operating off of a default script. It was. I made that very clear.
At a certain point in the episode, the topic of mushrooms and psychedelics came up, which is when Bia Heza decided to confront Luke after he stated that he thinks everyone should take mushrooms. He recognized the dangers of making claims like this, especially since there's undoubtedly kids watching.
Guys, mushrooms are crazy.
Would you recommend them
to
me?
Yes.
To TJ?
Me?
Yes, bro.
He's 18. No, bro, that's crazy.
Is legal?
That's
Is he of
reckless.
age? Can you?
That's reckless.
Why?
Isn't that like dangerous?
That's mind altering.
Recommending that to like millions of people online, especially like
Brother, I got a clip that went viral.
So mushrooms can cause psychosis. They can make you become schizophrenic. And it's rare, but there have been cases where people commit suicide after taking mushrooms. So they can have such a high degree of delusion and anxiety while on the mushrooms, they commit suicide. So recommending them to everyone is just fucking retarded.
That had 1 million likes that said everybody should do mushrooms. Everybody should do mushrooms. Everybody should do mushrooms.
Luke later admitted that he understood the clips of him saying outrageous things were bound to go viral, and so he never tries to clarify his point.
Now, would I recommend it for the entire world? No. But I would recommend it to you guys.
You just said everybody should.
I'll make videos where that'll go viral.
Okay.
But where I'm saying take mushrooms. I'm not telling to 1 million people, bro. When I did a podcast recently, I was talking to this girl. I said,
so he admits to lying so that he can get views. Yeah.
Take mushrooms. That clip went viral. I was talking to her. This clip will go viral. Guys, take some mushrooms. It'll be good for your mental reset.
Aren't you kind of worried about the impact you're having? Because some people might see that video.
It's great impact. It's great impact.
Why do you think they're so good?
Try them.
I'm scared, bro.
But as he's also said himself in the past, don't just blindly follow everything a man behind a random anime picture tells you on the internet. Of life.
Well, that was a boring, stupid video. Yeah, that was just bad.
Time I met him, he literally was like, cool, I don't give a shit who you are, go fetch me some water. What's going on, everybody? So typically I don't do videos like this, but I felt like I needed to do this, and I think this is more for me because you guys know what I'm about to talk about. I'm about to talk about Jimmy Moore, and if you don't know who Jimmy Moore is, back when I started the ketogenic diet back in 2014, 2015, Jimmy Moore was the man. Like, he was all about fasting, you know, wrote a bunch of books on keto, well-recognized author, and I remember...
Dude, imagine this guy being, you know, a health and fitness influencer. Like, it's just baffling. he made money like recommending a ketogenic diet and shit for weight loss and crap. He wrote books. He was paid to go at speaking events. This guy, like,
author, and I remember, you know, seeing him at conventions, seeing him at expos. I'm like, oh man, that's Jimmy Moore, that's Jimmy Moore. And it's just crazy what has transpired. So for those of you who don't know this, Jimmy Moore has been arrested and he's been accused of, I think, 7 accounts of cardinal knowledge. So if you don't know what cardinal knowledge is, essentially what that is penetration of a minor. Yes, it's absolutely fucking disgusting. It's gross. For me personally, being a father and having 2 small girls, it's just something that like pisses me off. It angers me because it just makes you feel like, damn, you can't trust nobody, because so many people have met Jimmy. So many people have had conversation with him, been on his podcast, done some type of collaboration. I mean, he's been in this space, this keto space, and that's probably why a lot of you have found my channels, because you have to understand, like, my channel, my core audience, my foundation is keto, fasting, carnivore, low carb, you know, so that is the same space as Jimmy. And I've always said this, guys, vibes don't lie. I've said, if you follow me, I've said it many times, vibes don't lie. And I say this because the first time I ever met Jimmy, it was at, I want to say 2018 Metabolic Health Summit. And I remember seeing him there. I'm like, oh damn, like that's Jimmy Moore. And so I went up to him. I was like, all right, I'm about to, you know, just like want to introduce myself. I go up to Jimmy. I say, hey, what's up, Jimmy? My name's Logan Delgado. Nice to meet you. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, hey, can you go get me some water? And I'm like, what? I was so thrown off, guys. I was like just imagine, like, one of my subscribers, someone comes talk to me like, hey, Logan, it's so good to meet you. I'm like, oh yeah, good to meet you. Go fetch me some water. Get out of here. Like, completely blew me off. And that was the first, like, that was incident number 1. I always got a weird sense of him since 2019, especially 2020, and then completely lost the rails in 2021, just from like his Instagram, just from his stories and everything that you heard from him. Like, he went on a sabbatical, which he was updating. It was him, guys. It was him updating his people. Like, he would say, hey, Jimmy's gonna be back in 5 months. Like, Jimmy, who are you fooling? We know it's you writing this. This is not a worker. This is not one of your staff members. This is you writing this. So that was like number 2. It was like, that was just really weird. And then apparently, like, he messaged a bunch of inappropriate things to a lot of girls. You know, as people started sharing this story, I'm like, man, this is crazy, right? And then they would share like, yeah, he would DM me this, he would DM me that. Just a complete creep. And I could totally see that through his Instagram. Like, there was something a little bit wrong with this guy, especially like really following him in 2020, 2021. Like, he was kind of going off in the deep end. And it just goes to show you guys, vibes don't lie. And so many people are coming out of the woodworks and be like, yes, absolutely. He did this to me. He wrote me this. He DM'd me that. I met him. He gave me the creeps. I met him at so-and-so place.
Not surprising. All right, let's see. Greg.
Your face is like this and the other side's like that, it's not as attractive. And so if you walk up to a woman with lots of confidence and say, hey baby, I'm very confident, you're not getting laid. I've choice that if you're obese, it's not your fault. We should feel bad for you. Boo-hoo. He's gonna make fun of me, put me down, insult me, attack my character. All because I give you an actual opinion, my true, authentic opinion on the fact that obesity is in fact a choice, and that I feel disgusted when looking at people who weigh 600 pounds. I can't believe what I'm seeing. And so just because I have these emotions and I admit to them, well, that makes me a bad person. Because I'm not virtue signaling, I'm not pretending that it doesn't happen. And so because I have the balls and Myron has the balls to say what we actually think, we get hated on, shit on. You're a bad person.
Why is there that flashing thing at the top of the screen? Oh.
And so people, they're professional victims, they're crybabies, they're lazy, they don't have the testicular fortitude to stick to losing weight, and they want us to feel sorry.
Okay, this whole thing that obesity is purely a choice is just retarded. I don't know if free will exists or not, but assuming it does, assuming free will does exist, that doesn't mean you have infinite free will, and it doesn't mean that there are going to be roadblocks or issues or things that make something harder. So let's say you're trying to run a mile as quickly as you can. There are going to be people who can run that mile very quickly. So people who are taller, people who have trained for a very long time to be able to run the mile, a long time. People who clear lactic acid out of their body faster. That's another factor that helps with endurance. Having a higher lung capacity. So if you have larger lungs, you're going to be able to take in more oxygen and then be able to run faster. Some people produce more hemoglobin. If you're comparing, an ideal specimen, somebody who's trained a very long time, somebody who has ideal, body length measurements, so they're like 6 feet tall, they have high lung capacity, they're going to be able to run the mile very, very quickly. So let's say they can run the mile in 4 minutes. 4-minute miles, very good. Now, if you get a subset of people who don't have those ideal conditions, so let's say they're very short, they're 5 foot 2 inches tall. Maybe somebody is missing a leg and they have an artificial leg. Maybe they had to have a lung removed because they had a collapsed lung, or they were shot or stabbed, or maybe they have a genetic defect that, made it so they can't, so that they just didn't develop another lung. All those factors are going to make it harder to run a 4-minute mile. Can you say, oh, well, you're just lazy and you don't have the stick-to-itedness to run a 4-minute mile? Like, no, there's like these roadblocks in place that have made it much more difficult for them. Is it impossible for them to run a 4-minute mile? Not necessarily, but it's going to make it much, much, much more difficult. This is the same thing when it comes to weight loss. There are genetic and environmental and social factors that make weight loss much more difficult. Some people overproduce hunger hormones. Some people store fat more easily. Some people have just a voracious appetite where they're just constantly fucking hungry. Somebody might have mental health issues that kind of make them stress eat. All those factors are going to be a roadblock to weight loss. So claiming, oh, you're just lazy, you don't have the stick-to-itness, this is coming from a person who has like more ideal genetic and environmental factors that make it easier for them to be at that body weight. If you were in the same set of circumstances that these other people were in, you have bad genes, you have a bad environment, you have bad social factors like mental health that all make it harder for you to lose weight, you're probably going to be heavier than you otherwise would be. Like it's stupid to claim, oh, well, you're just lazy. It's stupid.
Could ever feed rats to snakes, they are so much better than a snakes, or cats, or dogs. Rats can even properly bath themselves. THNX for stream.
Yes. I really love rats. Rats are great. They're just sweet little cuddle potatoes. My goodness. Those are good rats. Oh my god, look at that rat. Oh my god. Wow. Those are really sweet rats. Oh my goodness. Look at those rats. Oh my god. Those are good rats. Wow. So sweet. Yes, rats are nice. Thanks for the donation, Axel. Genetic Beast is in chat. Debate him. Do you want to debate right now, Genetic Beast? I can open up the Discord and we can debate. Thanks for the donation. VG is based.
Man Caven Kateb 23 Salvar Motivalid Teran Hostum, Vardar Hail Hazadarkesh Versodzendige Mekanom. Manas Kudaki Darkana Vardii Bozorg Shadam K, M Karat has Harbin Abuland, Varhich Kostak Honeyvad. Dekelzine Marmikadand, K Chon Senor Sale Kami Dashtim.
Well, I don't speak Spanish, but thanks for the donation, Mandalay. Dodo donated $2. Can you react to this, please?
The number one issue for young Americans this election is not student loans, not abortion or guns, but it's housing, okay? Housing. So what are they talking about, housing, these young people? Housing affordability is the top election issue for Gen Z.
How are you feeling? New Frank vids to watch.
I'm feeling just fine. Just fine. It does not appear that, yeah, Frank did not upload any new content. But I'm feeling fine, James. Thanks for the donation, dude.
According to a survey done by Redfin, with 12% of Gen Z respondents believe they will never own a home due to record high home prices, elevate mortgage rates above 7%, and expensive rent. Elijah De La Campa from Redfin noted the cost of starter homes has increased twice as fast as incomes. The median home sale price in the U.S. reached an all-time high of $390 May of 2023. Despite a strong economy with low unemployment and rising wages, many young Americans find buying a home impossible, with 42% of Gen Z receiving financial support from their parents for rent or housing costs. Holy shit. 42% of Gen Z is getting help from parents right now. While 90% of major metro areas saw an increase in housing supply, home prices in the South, particularly Austin, Texas, and Northport, Florida, are falling. Tom.
So, no surprise. This is what's going on. When you see an article like this, it really just pisses me off, because this is just a little pebble of what is a bigger affordability crisis that's been brought on by inflation and printing a bunch of money.
This is idiotic. It's not inflation. You can...
Can we please react to this after this video and stop putting it off? It's a really good doc. Please give it a chance.
Yeah, we'll watch that later, Dodo. Thanks for the donation. So it's not inflation that's driving up the cost of rent and homes. You can actually track how much inflation is responsible, and I think it's only like 10 or 15% that inflation can account for the increase in cost of homes. Just look at the increase in average wages versus the increase in rent or home prices. It is just ballooning out of fucking control, and the main reason is arbitrary cost increases. The second reason is lack of availability. There's a huge lack of available housing, and that is in large part due to zoning laws in North America being absolutely fucking retarded. So it's practically impossible to build any new fucking homes with a population that's fucking increasing. Also, like, job market has a part to play here, because areas where you can actually be employed are going to have, like, higher home prices, so it increases demand. If you can get, like, a cheaper place in bumfuck nowhere that's, like, smaller, But then you can't be employed anywhere unless you work remotely, and even then you might not even have internet access to even work remotely. But yeah, it's mostly arbitrary cost increases and the lack of actual available homes that's driving up the cost of homes, not inflation.
That's what's happened here. And now this is, remember I always talk upstream, downstream. You hear me talk about that. This is the downstream problem. This is the polluted little lake that's at the end of the creek and the river, and the creek and the river are bringing the bad water into the lake. And why is it bad water? Because it got polluted way upstream. This is what it is. Upstream from these people, that's while they were in high school, while they were in college, if they went to college, or serving a couple of years in the military, inflation was going crazy. We were printing money. We raised the price of assets. And now we have affordability crisis. So the number one issue for Americans when they say it's housing, well, what they're really saying is affordability in America. That's what they're saying. And they're saying currently the affordability is so bad that I got to think about getting support.
You can look at the cost of any other good. Cost of goods has gone up, but rental properties and homes has skyrocketed higher beyond anything else, so it can't be inflation.
Support from my parents or living with my parents. That's what it is. And so if you let this in your mind be like, oh, it's the housing market, it's not. It's the leadership of this country, and it's the affordability crisis showing up as the number one issue for this group. The affordability is hitting them hardest in terms of housing.
Well, let me talk to my Gen Z friends out there. I almost going to give an MLK speech right now. I have a dream.
Here we go.
I have a couch.
I have a dream. Exactly. I have a couch. Guys, the American dream, it's still alive and well in America. The only difference is the American dream has changed. The American dream of your parents and your grandparents no longer exists. The ability to get a job and work at the same job for 50 years and get a pension and retire and get a gold watch and say, hey, great job, and get a house and get a 2-car garage and have 2.2 kids and have a dog and just live in the suburbs and just have a two-car situation and just work for the same company no longer exists. So stop crying about it, that everything that happened in the past in the 80s and the 90s when your parents were starting to make money has changed.
Okay, this is just idiotic. There's a housing affordability crisis. I don't know what the hell that has to do with the American dream. Like, yeah, people need to be housed.
So rather than cry about it and bitch and moan, oh my God, I can't, do something different. What's the definition of crazy? Doing the same thing over and over and over again.
With no result.
And expecting the different results.
I don't know any other way to make money than to get a job. So, is there like an animal that I can come across in the woods that if I milk it, money will come out? Is there a special money-making tree that I can pick $100 bills off of? You have to get a job to make money, and housing is so ridiculously fucking expensive that there is no fucking way to afford a home with any standard means of employment.
So what's different? I always say this. The best thing you can do, especially when you're 20s and 30s, to you guys out there, women, you have a different objective, okay? For the men out there, I would encourage you to do the following. Understand this basic concept. The number one thing you can be doing in your life right now, before you have kids and a family, as you're working on your career, purpose over pleasure, purpose over punani, is understand this concept. Low overhead and high flexibility is the key to your life.
Okay, this guy's a fucking idiot. You can look at the change in the split between income and rent, or rent as a percentage of income. I think most people are paying like over 30% of their income in rent. So if the cost of rent is going up and you're trying to reduce costs, well, if rent is such a huge portion of your fucking income, that doesn't leave you much wiggle room. Are you just supposed to like not eat? Should you just like live off of cockroaches? Are you just supposed to like drink water out of the toilet so that you can save money on your like water utility? Are you just supposed to not use electricity anymore? Like, I don't know what you're supposed to do. This guy's an idiot.
Right now. Keep your costs low, keep it moving, keep it grooving, and keep your flexibility high, because you don't know where you're going to end up in the next 2, 5, 10 years. You might work for this company, an opportunity comes up. You might be in New York, you might be in Boston, you might go from Boston to Austin. All of a sudden you're in California. Fuck California, moving to Florida.
Well, these are all rich people explaining to poor people how they should live. So, yeah.
For them. It's not your fault. You have PCOS. Nothing you could do about it. It's impossible to lose weight. So let's get into the video and see what comes up.
I thought this guy was at least a little bit more sensible. Gilbert Godfrey on Anavar over here.
You know, and I thought this guy, he's talking about Coach Greg, thought this Gilbert Godfrey on Anavar would be more sensible. Not on Anavar.
I don't have an opinion on Greg beyond the fact that he's a funny meme, but the fact that he's over here laughing at this dumb Myron actually is like kind of...
I'm a dumb meme now? Really? A dumb meme. Last I checked, I have 2+ million followers. You have 200-something thousand followers. I almost have 1 billion views on YouTube. Doing exceptionally...
Wait, what?
But the fact that he's over here laughing...
Last I checked, I have 2+ million followers. You have 200-something thousand followers.
Oh my god. Yeah, this is why Greg is a dumb meme. He thinks he has a bigger following than Hassan. He didn't bother checking his stats on Twitch. So the amount of non-paid and paid followers he has on Twitch. And he only looked at his YouTube Clips channel. What a fucking idiot. Oh, dear God. What a fucking moron.
I almost have 1 billion views on YouTube. Doing exceptionally well, both financially, spiritually, socially, physically, everything. How am I a meme?
Greg Doucette literally spends most of his time shitting on people that do an unimaginable amount of steroids and then die.
What I do is educate people on the dangers of using performance-enhancing drugs. I admittedly was on them at abusive doses for 10 years. Since that time, for the last 5 years, I've stopped. And so to me, that would be equivalent to saying I was, for example, 400 pounds. I was morbidly obese for 10 years. I was overeating. I was doing everything wrong. And then one day I woke up and said, this is stupid. And I stopped doing it. And so do I not have the right to speak out against people who have done the same mistakes as I have? If somebody was 400 pounds, lost half their body weight, now 200 pounds, and say, hey guys, I used to eat a lot of burgers, fries, chips, donuts, didn't do cardio, but one day I realized this is not healthy and I stopped and now I did all the healthy things, could that person not have an opinion that is valid? Because how is it any different for me?
You can be a gearhead and simultaneously shit on people who are super fat.
And so I'm a gearhead. Really? I'm on doctor-prescribed, actually an endocrinologist, and extra hormones, 140 milligrams of testosterone. I'm not on other performance-enhancing drugs. I'm not even on peptides, growth hormones, SARMs, and so on. And so
he says this, but the only reason he has this current physique is because he was blasting Trenbolone for so long. So yeah, if you blast a ton of gear for a very long time and then you go on TRT, you're going to have a more impressive physique than if you had just taken TRT this entire time. This is just horseshit.
Literally a gearhead, or was I formerly on abusive doses? It would be calling somebody who's currently 200 pounds, formerly was 400, saying they're a fat piece of shit. Really?
No, that is not the same thing.
The guy's 200 pounds, his abs used to be 400 pounds, lost 200 pounds. You're calling fat piece of shit. That's what you're doing to me, literally.
Oh my God, a dog just walked past. Dog. Dog, 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 dog. Dog, 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 dog. Come here, dog. Jump up. Jump up. Come here, jump up. Faye, come here. Come jump up. Say hello to everybody. Oh no, she's running away. What are you doing? Come here. Come here. Yeah, that's a good dog. Oh my God. That's a good doggy. Come say hello. Jump up. Jump. I don't know why she always runs away when I tell her to jump. Come here. Yeah, that's a good doggy. Oh my god. Yeah, that's a good sweetie. You know I love you. Yes.
Really the same thing.
You got to this peak physical form, and you're still going to die before the fat guy dies.
I'm 48. Am I literally going to die before the fat guy dies? I do 6 to 7 hours of cardio a week. I go to the gym 2 or 3 days. I do full body workouts.
To be fair to Greg, he actually does have a very good diet. Even though he's not vegan, he does eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. He avoids red and processed meat, eats a low amount of saturated fat
I had
and
totally
cholesterol.
forgot that Dr. Dean Ornish was currently conducting a diet and Alzheimer's disease study. Apparently, it was published this morning. Check it out, but don't set expectations high.
All right, cool. I'll read that in just a minute. Thanks for the donation, finger my ass. Yeah, so to be fair to Greg, he does have a healthy overall lifestyle. I don't know if he's going to end up outliving the fat guy because he abused steroids for a very long time, and he is still maintaining a pretty high degree of muscle mass. I don't think he's particularly heavy. He's only like 180 pounds, something like that, but he's only 5'5" or something. He's really short. There is pretty strong evidence to suggest that if you do have a lot of extra muscle mass, that does increase your risk of heart disease because of hemodynamic changes that occur in your body from having a higher body weight, whether it's excess body fat or excess muscle mass. So it's up in the air. I guess time will tell. But his lifestyle overall is very healthy. Like, that's something you can't deny. Evidence links lifestyle factors with Alzheimer's disease. We report the first randomized controlled clinical trial to determine if intensive lifestyle changes may beneficially affect the progression of mild cognitive impairment or early dementia due to AD. AD being Alzheimer's disease. A 1-to-1 multi-center randomized control phase 2 trial, ages 45 to 90 with mild cognitive impairment or early dementia due to Alzheimer's disease, and a Montreal Cognitive Assessment score of 18 or higher. The primary outcome measures were changes in cognition and function tests, clinical global impression of change, Alzheimer's disease assessment scale, clinical dementia rating, and clinical dementia rating global after 20 weeks of an intensive multi-domain lifestyle intervention compared to a waitlist usual care control group. ADAS-COG, CDR-SB, CDR global scales were compared using a Mann-Whitley-Wilcox rank-sum test, and CGIC was compared using Fisher's exact test. Secondary outcomes include plasma A-beta 4:40 ratio, other biomarkers, and correlating lifestyle with the degree of change in these measures. Results. 51 80 patients enrolled, mean age 73.5, no significant difference in any measures at baseline, only 2 patients withdrew. All patients had A-beta 4:40 ratios below 0.0672 at baseline, strongly supporting Alzheimer's disease diagnosis. After 20 weeks, significant between group differences in the CGIC, CDR-SB, and CDR global test, and borderline significance in the ADAS cognitive test. Okay, we can... when you say borderline significance, that really doesn't make much sense. It's either significant or it's not. At the end of the day, what we consider to be statistically significant or not is somewhat arbitrary, but it either passes, statistical significance or it doesn't. CGIC, CDR Global, and ADAS COG showed improvement in cognition and function, and CDR SB showed significantly less progression compared to the control group, which worsened in all 4 measures. A beta 42/40 ratio increased in the intervention group and decreased in the control group. There was significant correlation between lifestyle and both cognitive function and plasma. A beta 42/40 ratio. The microbiome improved only in the intervention group. Comprehensive lifestyle changes may significantly improve cognition and function after 20 weeks. Yeah, so I mean, this is a result that you'd kind of suspect. Like, no shit, if you eat better and exercise, you're going to be better off. Like, in pretty much every metric. Thanks for that donation, though, Finger My Ass.
Eat exceptionally healthy. I get my blood work done regularly. And aside from getting freaking pneumonia, but I mean, I was in fact having asthma throughout my life. And if it weren't for the fact that I do so much cardio, perhaps I would be in worse shape after all.
At least they got there by eating delicious treats.
It sounds like somebody that's never turned a page in my cookbook. Literally, I'm eating. Hey, instead of that, you can look like I'm suffering. Does it look like I'm not eating any delicious treats?
Be normal. It's very frustrating. And I say this as a man who struggled with weight his entire life.
And so, dude, all you have to do is get my cookbook, code Greg, 15% off, and you wouldn't have any.
Hassan lost weight without your cookbook, so I don't think he needed your cookbook.
Problem. I mean, it's not really that simple. You have to actually eat 1 recipes a day on average. If you buy the book and don't actually use it ever, it's not going to help all that much. But I'm telling you, if you get the book, you're going to lose weight, probably get a girlfriend, probably have better riz with the ladies. It's going to help you in every aspect of your life.
You think fat people don't know they're fat? Of course they know they're fat, dumbass.
I don't agree with that. Eric Janicki literally looked at the guy and said, isn't this guy healthy? Doesn't he look healthy? I'm like, no, he's fat, he's obese. What are you talking about?
I've definitely felt disgusted looking at my own body and looking at other fat bodies in my life. A lot of the disgust I felt looking at people was me feeling disgusted with myself.
People are hating on me for saying that I look at 600-pound individuals with disgust, while he himself, who's far lighter than this, he himself looks at himself with disgust.
He deserves to be bullied.
He's just a bully, dude. A sad, insecure bully.
Well, that's exactly what it is. Look, if you're telling somebody that the only reason you're fat is because you're a loser and you don't work hard and shit like that, that's absolutely bullying.
Bully with perhaps the worst hairline replacement I've ever seen in my entire life.
Notice how he body shames Myron. I mean, if you're going to call him out for shaming other people and you do the exact same thing to him.
I don't think making fun of somebody's hair transplant would technically, be body shaming. That's like bald shaming. That's not body shaming.
What are you teaching him? I mean, are we fighting fire with fire? Are we not going to be the bigger person? If Myron is doing something wrong in calling these people out and speaking to them this way, how are you a better individual, a better person, by doing the exact same thing that he's doing?
Maybe we should have bullied your barber.
Yeah, dude, that's not body shaming. That's just like bald shaming.
Maybe we should have bullied whoever gave you that goddamn hairline. Oh my Lord!
I don't even see anything wrong with his hair. Like, I literally don't. And if
his hair looks like it was glued on.
I would speak up. I'm very honest about these things. I don't think his hair looks bad. And since
Finger My Ass donated $2. Check out this guy who thinks that vegans are weak and stupid.
And why being vegan is a way of life for some people. Vegans are weak and stupid because they put themselves above animals in the food hierarchy. Even animals like to eat meat. Why are you putting an animal above your own physical needs? Because everybody needs meat. Everybody has to eat meat. Vegans are literally subconsciously the worst type of people on the face of the planet. Do not be friends with vegans. I don't understand.
Well, that was nice and retarded. Thanks for the donation, Finger My Ass.
When are we talking about hair when we're talking about the body? You can't really do anything about your hairline now, can you? If you have a balding gene and you're going bald and you don't have any hair.
Okay, whoa. Double standard here. So Greg is saying, oh, well, if you have certain genes that cause you to go bald, there's not really anything you can do about it, right? Oh, but he ignores that fact when there's genes that are linked with obesity. Like, oh, I could just say, oh, well, you could have, like, eaten a certain diet, you could have taken finasteride, dutasteride, you could have, like, tried some topical treatments, like, those are all just excuses, like, so idiotic. Like, he recognizes there's genetic factors that lead to some undesirable outcomes like balding, and that's something that you don't have, complete control over. There are genetic factors that lead to obesity, and again, that's not something that you have complete control over. You can mitigate those factors either with lifestyle changes, with drug treatments, but again, these people with the bad set of genes probably aren't going to be as lean as people who have the ideal set of genes.
Is that on you? I don't think so. But if you're 4 or 5 or 6 or 700 pounds, you can eat less. You can go for a walk.
It's ridiculous to me that we have all these fat people running around. Meanwhile, people are being bombed in Gaza.
You're fat while people are being blown up in Gaza? What does that have to do with anything, dumbass?
Dumbass. Why are you stupid? Your hair.
Like, what's funny, by the way, is you can, look at photos, IDF, Hamas arrests. Let me see if I can find it. Why are there so few fucking photos? Well, anyway. Here's one. So, these are suspected Hamas members. Notice, a lot of them are kind of chunky. They got some flubba wubba dub dub going on. So, it doesn't seem like, at least for Hamas members, there's a food shortage issue.
Hairline sucks. You should be this, that. I mean, all I'm pointing out is what he's saying. If you guys want to shit on me and Myron, go ahead. But your hero that's doing this is doing the exact same thing.
The highest obesity rate per capita out of all the other OECD developed nations. Perhaps that has something to do with more than just a moral failing, as you put it.
Myron's pointing out that we live in this amazing country, yet you're still overweight, and you have every ability in this earth to lose the weight. You have access to the internet, you have access.
Yeah, so it's because of the food system here. So that's an environmental factor. If you go to Europe, I spent time, I was living in Belgium, and I was actually planning to live there for a much longer time, but I couldn't get the marriage license there, and I only spent 3 months living in Belgium, but the food system there is much different. You don't see this fast food culture there. People don't like, things like McDonald's so much. And when people eat, they either eat at home with higher quality food, or they'll go out to nicer restaurants. That's one of the reasons why you see lower obesity rates in places like Europe. They're not eating like KFC and Burger King. This like really, it doesn't even taste good. It's just shit. But yeah, they're just eating better. Like they're just making better food choices, and the food system there kind of reflects that. You just don't see as much garbage. You're not surrounded by it like you are in the States. On top of that, they also have far less urban sprawl. So you walk around and ride a bike much more often if you live in some of these European countries, whereas in the United States, there's so much urban sprawl, you need a car, and you never really get an opportunity to walk or ride a bike. That's something that you have to kind of go out of your way to do, whereas it's just kind of a normal lifestyle thing in these other countries. Like, again, you can make intelligent choices to alter your environment to mitigate the risks of obesity. But again, acting as though everything is ultimately a choice, it's not. V donated $2. Can you destroy these transphobes? I don't know. Okay, so for one thing, I don't know how you can compare Christ claiming he's the Son of God to someone claiming they're a woman. Those are two very different things. On one hand, they're making a descriptive claim about having some sort of divine power. On the other hand, they're making a claim about gender identity. One is much harder to prove. One is much easier to prove. So I don't know how you can make that claim.
No, you don't got to believe. Hey, maybe what on earth makes you think that life isn't sad? Why would you prefer to believe something that may not be true just because it hides how My only objection is I don't understand how people can run around and say, I don't have any way to prove to anyone, including myself, that trans identity is real, but I'm going to believe it anyway. Because not.
This is a really weird claim. People say, how do I know trans identities are real? It's self-evidently the case. Like, this is how we establish things in psychological science. If someone tells you, I'm seeing ghosts and demons and they're telling me to commit evil, horrible crimes, and I keep hearing voices inside my head, you're kind of inclined to believe them because that's the experience they're claiming to have. If we're going to have this bizarre standard of evidence that we can't trust anybody's own word because we can't directly look inside their mind and see what they're thinking and feeling, that means any diagnosis that you can ever make in the field of psychology or psychiatry can't be made. We can't diagnose schizophrenia. We can't diagnose sociopathy or psychopathy. We can't diagnose like histrionic personality disorder, bipolar disorder. All of this relies on self-reporting. Like maybe you don't necessarily need self-reporting in certain circumstances because somebody might be like so delusional and crazy they might not have to directly talk about, what they're experiencing to make certain diagnoses. But when somebody tells you, I have no emotions, no feeling, I don't care about anybody other than myself, I'm perfectly fine with like harming other people and even killing them, torturing them. Yeah, that's how you make like a psychopathy diagnosis. When somebody tells you that I'm seeing demons that are talking to me and telling me to like kill myself, that's how you make a schizophrenia diagnosis. When someone tells you that I don't feel male or I don't feel female and I feel like I'm trapped inside the wrong body and I should be inside a female body, that's how you make a gender dysphoria diagnosis. Like if you're going to say we can't trust anybody's own testimony of how they're thinking or feeling, and that's why I don't believe in trans identities, then I guess you also don't believe in schizophrenia?
Not only do I not think it's a good thing to believe in trans ideology, I definitely don't think it's a good thing to believe in something that we admit we can't demonstrate to anyone, including ourselves.
How do you demonstrate insanity? How do you demonstrate schizophrenia? How can you show someone that I am seeing demons that are talking to me and telling me to kill myself or commit crimes? How do you demonstrate that? You can't. You can't like plug in some sort of microscope into somebody's head and say, see, this is where he's seeing all the demons. You can't demonstrate that. That's something that you have to take based on somebody's own testimony.
It's just that I care more about what's true and real. And if I allow my preference for a fantasy to impact what I believe, then all of a sudden I will believe things that aren't true, and that will impact my life negatively. I believe in everything that is demonstrably true.
Okay, this person is asking two separate questions. The one question is, does gender dysphoria exist? Which it does. If you're going to say gender dysphoria doesn't exist, then you're also going to have the epistemic standard that schizophrenia doesn't exist. People who claim to be talking to demons must be lying about it. And the other question that he's asking is whether or not it's possible to transition genders if you're experiencing gender dysphoria. And that is probably a more interesting conversation that you could actually debate. But the fact is, people do experience gender dysphoria. That's indisputable.
And I don't understand how people can willingly believe in something that is not demonstrably true, or that may be demonstrably false.
If a trans person believes their identity is true, isn't that enough? So if I were to come out as trans, say I was experiencing gender dysphoria, does that make me a woman? Gender identity has two components. One is the self-identity aspect, and two is the social aspect of whether or not you can convince other people that you are a particular gender. So I could be experiencing gender dysphoria right now, but unless I transition and adopt the physical and social aspects of the opposite gender, it would be unreasonable for me to ask other people to treat me as if I was the opposite gender. Like this seems like an argument against crazy self-ID trans people who say, just because I self-identify, that is enough of a basis to prove that I'm the opposite gender.
I just don't understand how someone can say, here's a proposition, and I have no way of telling if it's true or not, but I'm convinced it's true. The transgender identity belief is protected from criticism so that it's a win-win scenario only. You can only say good things about trans people, but, you know, the truth is it's comforting, and maybe I believe it because it's comforting.
I don't know what that has to do with any argument against transgender ideology. All right, well, that was a stupid video.
Access to healthy food, to gyms, you can walk outside. And so you're still choosing to be fat.
He said he's naturally skinny. You have to understand that there are people who are naturally overweight, right? Like, that's insane.
Obviously, it's easier for some people to be skinnier than others. Obviously, it's easier for some people to have greater work ethic than others. For me, I find it easier to push myself in the gym, to study harder than last time, to work harder than last time. It's inside of me. It's intrinsic. Some people, it's not as hard, but you can still choose to work harder. You can choose to put the fork down. You can choose to do better. Myron isn't fit enough for me to care about his opinion. Well, if Myron isn't fit enough to care about his opinion, what about the 4 fat guys? What about them? If you can't listen to Myron because he's not fit enough, what exactly is fit enough? As someone with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, of which I've done videos about, and I understand in detail, I've coached these ladies in the past.
PCOS does not make it physically impossible to lose weight. It makes it more difficult in some circumstances, but it does not make it impossible. So again, Greg is just attacking the lowest hanging fruit here. Penis donated $2. Yes or no? Do trans women have PMS?
I have
Never seen research ever that corroborates
I agree.
that.
No, I know.
So
but you
then
haven't seen any research that does the opposite either. So I don't know why
How
you're.
are you supposed to prove a negative?
I'm just saying the body's complicated. I'm
That's
not. I'm
not
not.
an answer. That doesn't answer anything.
My grandma was a white woman. No, she's one.
Some of the symptoms from taking hormone treatment can mimic things like PMS. So, can trans women experience PMS? Technically, no, because they're not menstruating. But some of the symptoms they're experiencing from taking hormone treatment mimics symptoms of PMS, but you technically can't have PMS because you're not menstruating. It's like I don't know, the best comparison that I can make is I guess pregnancy. Like there's symptoms of pregnancy. You'll start lactating. Biological men cannot experience pregnancy, but they can experience symptoms of pregnancy. So men can lactate. You can develop enlarged female breast tissue, which can start lactating. That's possible. But you can't experience pregnancy. So same with PMS. You're not getting post-menstrual syndrome, but you can experience similar symptoms of it. So trans women can get period cramps. Like again, you can't get period cramps, but you can get, again, similar symptoms from taking hormone treatment. Thanks for the donation, penis.
Who physically cannot lose weight no matter what. That is a lie. Physically can't lose weight no matter what. That means that if I put them in a room and controlled everything that went in their mouth, they couldn't lose weight. It's bullshit. It's a lie. If they didn't eat enough, they would die of starvation just like everyone else. It upsets me so much how people think of being fat as a moral failing, and I'm glad you're talking about that. If you don't want to be fat, you can choose not to be fat. Being 5'6" manlet like Coach Greg is not a choice. I can't choose.
You can choose to be taller. There's bone lengthening surgery now, so that's not true. You could choose to be taller.
To be taller. I could get limb lengthening surgery, spend $120,000 and be in pain for a year in a hospital bed. That could make me taller, but I can't just want to be taller. But
just like how certain people with a very bad set of genes can suffer tremendously to lose weight. And they choose not to go through that suffering because to them, the benefits don't outweigh the negatives.
But you can want to be skinnier even with PCOS or with an underactive thyroid or with the slowest metabolism in the world, and you can still lose weight. Yep. I have PCOS. My hormones and insulin resistance make it nearly impossible. The only way
Insulin has virtually no effect on weight loss. So, no. It's all a matter of calories in versus calories out. Insulin doesn't play a significant role in weight loss or weight gain. Sexy donated $2. Female to male transition is a life of sexlessness.
Hey guys, it's Jamie, and today I'm going to be talking about a question that I get asked quite a lot, and that is, how do I have sex? Or rather, I'm not going to be talking about how I have sex, because there are just so many different ways, whether you're trans or not. I mean, I'm not even sure what people expect me to say. So, how do you have sex? I don't know, like a dinosaur? Get 10 different answers, whether they're trans or not. So me answering how I have sex, if I have sex at all, because not everybody does, isn't going to help anyone's understanding of trans people, because the answer will just be so different depending on who you ask. I do get the curiosity, so this really isn't a rant video or having a go at anybody. It's just highlighting that my answer doesn't add to general knowledge, it won't help anybody.
Someone's dog has been barking outside for like 40 minutes. There's a massive thunderdome. There's a massive thunderstorm outside, and for some reason I think that now is the best time to film a video. But What is up, y'all? My name is Devin, and today I'm gonna be talking about my peen. Y'all read the fucking title, you know what time it is. I'm gonna be talking about getting a stiffy. What is a stiffy? An erection, a hard one. Pretty much your lower nether regions, your special member, cadet peen gets hard, okay? So a video I made a while back called Getting Head as a Trans Man, all carded somewhere over here, seemed to really strike, not a nerve because that's a negative thing, but it sparked a lot of interest. A lot of people were messaging me about it, so I was like, why not make a follow-up in a similar vein, similar subject that could educate and entertain people. I was so much looking forward to my nether regions growing, changing, and developing, and I was like so fucking psyched for it. Something that caught me off guard that I didn't even think of, that I didn't hear anybody else talk about, was getting an erection. And it's like, yo, my shit's not super fucking massive to be getting an erection, but fuck it, I be getting erections. It's important to men. That's pretty much what my thing.
Okay, that's good. Thanks for the donation, Sexy.
The way I lose weight in my life was by developing an ED. Guess what? Not healthy to have an ED either. Yeah, I guess if you develop some kind of a problem, mental health and so on, you lose weight. And I don't suggest you do that, but could have got my cookbook instead. I mean...
Yes, because Greg's cookbook is going to solve every issue around dieting. Uh-huh.
You can choose to just eat gum or just have grapes or only eat ice cubes or any of the bullshit weight loss things that you know are bullshit and only temporary. Or you can get a diet that will work for the rest of your life, a diet that you will love, a diet that's lower in calories, that's high volume, that's high in protein, that has fiber, that's healthy, that you're going to enjoy. But why would you want to eat French toast, pancakes, ice cream, pizzas, lasagnas, wraps, and so on your diet? Why would you want that when you can choose to be a freaking moron? And if you want to know more, of course, I've written a diet book. It's called the Circle Diet Book, 15% off code Greg. And if you're going to write a comment right now and say, it doesn't work, have you read the book? Have you tried it? Because if you will, if you do, it gonna work. Try it. I triple dog dare you.
People burn at...
It's not even, like, by the way, it's not even a cookbook. He just tells you to, like, put bread, like ground beef on top of bread. It's not a fucking cookbook. Sexy, donate $2, Sexy.
For reference, this is how hairy my butt.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm not watching that. I know that guy. Thanks for the donation, Sexy.
Their resting metabolic rate, a different set of calories.
Doesn't matter.
That's true. He's absolutely right. What do you mean it doesn't matter?
The reason it doesn't matter is because no matter how slow your metabolism, if you eat less calories than that, you'll lose weight. And so myself, because I do an hour of cardio a day and have muscles and a metabolism and so on, I can eat 3,500 or 4,000 calories a day. And so if I eat 3,000 calories a day, I'm going to shrivel up. I'm going to look horrendous. I'm going to be way too skinny. Somebody else has a slower metabolism. They can only eat 2,000 calories a day. Guess what? If you eat 1,500, you lose weight. Someone else, they can only eat 1,500 calories a day. Poor them. Horrible. Guess what? They eat 1,000, they lose weight. Someone else, oh my goodness, the worst metabolism ever. 1,000 calories a day is their resting metabolic rate. It's horrendous. They're only 4'3" and 80 pounds, 1,000 calories a day. If they eat 800, they're losing weight. Do you see how it makes sense that no matter how slow your metabolism is, you can still lose weight?
How hard the task is entirely determined on the individual. Their lifestyle choices, their environment.
And those lifestyle choices, like if you do cardio, do you know how many calories cardio burns? It's a lot. If you do cardio, for example, I did slow cardio because of the pneumonia and stuff. I burned 717 calories in an hour. That's 717 extra calories that I can eat. So
all right. Well, Greg is dumb, but we already knew that.
Just got off the phone with Lenny.
Yeah.
He did pick up.
Okay.
He's naked.
Naked?
He's naked.
He's naked and afraid.
He's naked and afraid. He wouldn't let me come pick him up because he said he had to eat and shower. I said, well, dude, have a shake.
Why is he showering before the gym?
Why does he need to eat? I told him, just have a shake.
Well, you need to eat to get to be his size. You eat constantly. That's all you do is force yourself. But he's naked. He must be getting it in the ass.
What do you mean his size? I'm 340.
Well, you got a point there.
I'm training on an empty stomach because I'm drinking my pre-workout.
Yeah.
I've got my Sexy, donate $2. Is it gay if a straight guy fucks a trans woman?
pre-op. I would say no. You could consider it neither. There are men who exclusively are interested in trans women, so you could consider it a unique sexual preference, which is neither gay nor straight. So either way, I'd say no. Thanks for that, Nation Sexy.
Workout carbs. Yeah. And I've got my post-workout recovery.
That's the recovery? What is that shit?
Whole milk with chocolate.
Chocolate milk is a great recovery thing.
Absolutely.
Chocolate milk is not great for recovery. It is bad for you. Just have a protein shake.
What are you doing today?
Chest.
Well, look, chest. I don't know that I'm going to hang around with you pussies.
Hey, we are what we eat, buddy.
You are what you eat?
That's right. Richard got here an hour early. That's why they call you. I told all you jerk-offs to get here between 9:30 and 10, and Richard walks in at 8:20.
Well, because I wanted to warm up. Look what time it is.
So what? What do you got to do today?
I slept like a baby with my CPAP on.
I want to do laundry so I don't smell like Jason. I want to do...
Isn't that traditionally women's work?
I live alone, though.
He doesn't have a woman.
You got a broad that's going to come over my place and do my laundry?
I might even let you fuck her. Take a load off my hands.
Tell me what she looks like.
You fuck her. If you fucked a 67-year-old for 5 years, you'd bang his
I'd
girlfriend.
fuck a snake if I could hold his ears.
How you feeling, Jay? You feeling strong?
Yeah, I just woke up. So this needs a kick.
He just woke up.
Did you cut your hair this morning?
Last night. See, I plugged my...
That's very cool haircut. I like it.
I actually like it, too. That's the problem.
No, it's a hip haircut. It's not like everyone else's. It's hip.
I'm not a cookie cutter.
No, no chance.
This is like 1988.
No, but it's come back.
Speech Nightillers, this is the speech equals violence people you align with.
What would it take for you to move, not all the way over there, just one line, just one line?
I guess if they told me how many genders specifically there were, I can't think of anything that would change my opinion, I guess. But you got some friends.
Oh, you're giving me the finger? Hi. I'm standing in front of the social work building.
Just because these people are retarded, that doesn't mean some speech is not inherently violent. Thanks for the donation speech. Bloach Blowho donated $2. Can you react to this Blaha video?
Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would sit down and do a video for you guys and gals. All right, let's get into this. So when these topics of obesity come up, sometimes people don't like to hear the obvious because
I'm not going to watch this whole video. He is right if there weren't ultra-processed foods, so refined sugars, sugary sodas, you know, McDonald's, fast food, that sort of shit, there wouldn't be an obesity crisis. There would still be obese people, but there wouldn't be an obesity crisis. So he is right about that. If people just ate mostly whole foods, very few people would be obese. Thanks for that donation, Bloach Blowho.
See, a lot of these women now have their hair cut short on the side. Not that you're a woman.
It's kind of an MMA haircut.
It is.
Like I need an affliction shirt.
No, you don't.
Or Ed Hardy.
Anyhow.
What you need is a fucking breath mint right now. Jesus, did you brush your teeth before you
No.
came here? Oh,
No, he
you
hadn't.
got that morning breath. Whoa.
He ate a fucking turd sandwich for breakfast, you nasty
Oh.
When did you think I'm going to go all the way there and then back to my house to clean up?
You shower and then go to work.
I don't shower in there.
Why not?
I've been attacked before.
Brad,
My
you
asshole.
scared to get
Once they
attacked?
see me naked, they go fucking visit.
Brad and I are trying to convince Big Richard to join this.
Speech Nightillers, watch this entire thing or skip to 1:30:14, watch for a minute.
That he wanted.
I'm not going to watch that entire thing. Is this the guy who was caught on To Catch a Predator? Let me see. 130-14.
That even if he was responsible, life had already dealt him a hard enough hand with his disability. He felt that trying to change was a moot point, and routinely mocked his peers for trying to better themselves. His expulsion from the program meant that he would be due back in court in 2020, but the court date continued to get pushed back due to health concerns and other scheduling conflicts. He would end up writing the judge on March 31st, 2021. The following is the letter, as made available by Joey's TCAP channel here on YouTube. A link to said video can be found below. To Honorable Judge Ronnie Greer, Your Honor, I am writing this because this pending violation has continued for way too long. I am not the same man that appeared before you in court. I was on a powerful depression medication called Vraylar. Vraylar made me close to a zombie and extremely emotional, and made it hard for me to walk or get out of bed. I have been off this medication for more than a year, 9/2020. Thus, I have been clear-minded and willing to do anything asked of me from probation and Teresa Fletcher. The combination of Vraylar and me falling and hitting my head on a table and breaking the table on 6/18/17. I have had CAT scans and MRIs and a 40-hour EEG to show there is damage. So I feel the hearing for violating my probation is not necessary. The reasoning for the violation is due to medical issues and medication that I cannot control, regulate, or help. But that is not true. Once more, Dustin has attempted to make it appear that everything that has ever happened to him, anything negative that has happened in his life, wasn't because of the choices he made, but because of other outside factors. He was kicked out of his rehab program because he had brain damage caused by an
That is typical of narcissists and psychopaths.
antidepressant and a fall, not because he lied about being left alone with a minor, and because he wasn't taking rehab seriously. He is being unfairly penalized, the same way he was unfairly penalized by the police who arrested him and took away his CSAM. Dustin believes himself to be the victim in every situation, even when he is preying on children. Nothing he does or says will ever be his fault, and anyone who tries to hold him accountable is actually the person with the issue. Continuing on. Your Honor, I ask that you please intervene on my behalf and give me a relief or a release from my supervised probation. I have been under
View off stream and critique my form.
Let me take a look. Okay, well, those close grip pull-ups look good. They are good for developing brachialis strength. All right, well, can't say anything bad about the pull-ups. I don't know why you're doing them with a narrow grip, but they are good for increasing, strength in your brachialis. So it's a fine variation. And this looks like squats. Okay, with the squats, you shouldn't be having to adjust your arms or adjust your stance after you start squatting, so I'd avoid making adjustments mid-set. And your repetition should be in fairly quick succession. You shouldn't, do a rep, wait, 5 seconds, do a rep, wait 5 seconds. If you do that, you're going to end up really, really fatiguing yourself as you progress, because it's almost like doing sub 1 rep max singles over and over and over again repeatedly. So you should just go up, down, up, down, up, down without much pause in between. Otherwise, your squat form looks good. I would recommend you wear a belt, because you will just be able to squat with more weight. Let me just look one more time. It looks good otherwise. Thanks for the donation, Death of Rabbit.
Supervised probation since 11/6/2014. Other than the violation in front of you in court, I have no issue.
Belt recommendations. Let me see. So, this is the lifting belt that I use. If you're going to start with using a lifting belt, I'd recommend starting with a nylon belt. Make sure you get one with the locking pin in the middle of the loop. Without that locking pin, they'll come loose and they're
Can we
short.
react to this next, please?
Sure, Dodo. We'll react to that next. Thanks for the donation, dude. So that's the one I use. Self-locking weightlifting belt. That's on Amazon. Just make sure if you're going to get a nylon belt, get one with a locking pin, or else it'll like come loose and they're shitty. Thanks for the donation though, dude.
Issues with any law enforcement whatsoever. Not even a speeding ticket in these 7+ years. I have even provided probation with a monthly log of every time I leave the house, and what I do until I return to the house every month with the required paperwork that has to be sent to probation every month. Additionally, I send a log of every dollar I get and spend at where also with the paperwork. I feel I am being more than transparent, clear, and honest with probation.
Your Honor, I will be willing and happy to sign any and all paperwork, legal document, or forms to be released from supervised probation. I will agree to which I, Jason McFetridge, will not commit any more sex crimes.
Gym, it is a minute and a half further than the Palm Beach gym.
I'm going to consider it.
And the Boca one is right next to his work.
And they
where
have
you
a
get to shower and
jacuzzi.
go over there.
Well, it's the pool that I like. I like to
You
jerk
don't like
off
the
in the pool.
jacuzzi?
No, I'm not into
I like
jacuzzi.
to soak my hemorrhoids in the warm water.
Thank you, Jay. I won't be going in there anymore.
I won't either. Thank you for
That's
ruining
why,
that for me.
he's always wearing red shorts.
That's why Jason's always in it.
Exactly.
Is that why
Nothing
there's
like
blood
having your hemorrhoids pushed in
Yeah.
by a tranny.
You can go bobbing for
Is
dingleberries.
that why there's blood all over the seat in the men's room? I just went in there.
Oh.
Now you're going to
Anyhow,
go in the women's room and lick the seats.
I actually went through that recently. I've had fucking 20 treatments.
Of hemorrhoids?
Yes, where they take rubber bands and tie them off.
Like a cow.
From pushing.
Really?
Oh, you don't know.
That's what they do to goats'
That's
nuts.
the second time I've had
What?
They take these really tight rubber bands,
Yeah.
and they put them around their scrotum, and their balls just wither away and fall
No,
off.
I wasn't talking about my balls. My balls are good size. They're huge. Your balls maybe are small from the testosterone.
I like small balls. I'd like to leave them at home if I could. They're just kind of a
They're
nuisance.
in the way. Yeah,
we
they're
can
fucking
arrange that.
annoying.
Give me that fucking knife, Brad.
What's
Your
more,
pocket knife.
there's nothing stupider than a chick thinking you like it when she's licking your nuts. There's no pleasure receptor in my
Some
balls,
guys like
bitch.
that.
I love it when girls lick my balls and suck on my scrotum. It's great. It feels good to me. I don't know. Everybody's different.
I don't know about that, man. That's kind of nice.
I like it when a cow licks my balls.
I want to try and get
It's
her
the
to
fact.
sink.
It's the fact that they are willing to do it. See,
I want her to sink 2 fingers in my ass while
No,
she's
it's,
sucking my dick.
it's like that time you were telling me, Richard, remember that? When you said you were banging a chick from behind and her dog came up and started licking your balls.
That's happened to
and
me
your ass.
before.
And
No,
you
no,
didn't
that's
stop.
true. That's a true story. But I had a girl once who worked in a bank. She started licking my asshole, right? And then she wanted me to kiss her.
speaking of licking assholes, hello, Jason.
Look at the stains on that shirt.
Wait, Richard, don't let Jason sidetrack
She
you.
was licking my asshole. She worked at a bank in Hallandale, and then she wanted me to kiss her. And I copped an attitude. I wouldn't see her again because I don't know how many other people's assholes she licked.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what comes out
I
of
should have
that.
hooked her up with you.
Well, no, I need solid food. I said, all right, slam down a cup of oatmeal and eat a couple raw eggs like Rocky. He's like, oh, I can't do that. The guy will eat a raw egg on film, but he can't eat one in real life. He's a cookie cutter.
He's a cookie cutter.
Lenny, give me a break. Guy's naked.
Well, what happens?
He walks around naked. I always
Actually, yes. This is the the Tom Platz of walking around his house naked and catching his ass in the reflection in the mirror.
Hey, by the way, you fucking jerk off. If you're gonna film those little videos of yourself walking around your house naked, stay away from mirrors and reflective.
Yeah, put on boxer shorts.
A guy direct messaged me.
It's happened now twice.
In front of one of those pictures, and you fucking naked ass.
I mean, yeah.
Such a dopey fuck. That's how many times does that happen now?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that photo that Jason Genova posted. Let me see if I can find the... Yeah. Jason Genova fucking posted this on social media. He was fucking taking a photo of himself in the locker room, and there was a naked dude right behind him, and he fucking posted this. Dude, that made me laugh harder than fucking anything ever. That was the funniest photo I've ever seen in my life.
No, I think two or three.
Honestly, though, it doesn't really matter because everybody's seen him fucking naked anyway.
Butt cheek naked. Butt naked. Stripped down, baby.
And what did I tell you about that shirt? Get rid of that. Throw that thing in that fucking garbage, man. If you can't get the stains out, throw it away. That's better.
It's a classic shirt. I'm gonna go put it in my car.
It's a classic shirt?
Anything to go out, leave the gym.
Exactly.
Any excuse.
Anything not to actually fucking live.
You know, I watched all 5 episodes in a row of Dale vs. Lenny.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that because it wound up being like work. And Jason Genova squatting 315 for 3, and the guy says he's going to be a power lifter.
No, he's not powerlifting anymore. He's going to do the bodybuilding show with them next year.
Hey, I've been out of town for 7 weeks. I need to get caught up on things. What's going on with this tranny that you are involved with?
I don't see her anymore. No more.
But you did see her.
I don't see her. My mom put a restraining order on her. I don't see her.
How far did things go?
Nothing. We were friends. Nothing.
No.
None of that. I didn't.
That wouldn't make you gay.
I didn't do it.
Well, who doing that to who?
Well, if she did,
So Jason Genova was having sex with a tranny.
she sucked your cock, that wouldn't make you gay.
I didn't do it. I don't want to talk about her anymore. Don't even give her any time.
Yeah, dude, he fucked a tranny.
Well, we're not mentioning her name.
Let's not talk about it, please.
CJ, you leave town for a month and a half and...
Never turn down a good cocksucker. Even if it's from an old man. Like Dale's father.
Or you at a truck stop somewhere in Iowa.
Oh, it takes a long time for these old bones to warm up.
Dale Chance was very, very disappointed that he did not get to meet you and get a lift in with you when he was down here. As a matter of fact,
Can you stop? Blow your fucking breath up or something. Jesus Christ, Jay. It really is disgusting.
See, I wasn't lying, right?
You didn't brush your teeth.
And
we're fucking freaks. What do you expect, right?
he actually, he would have probably come this weekend if he knew you were going to be down here to get in a lift with you.
I think Dale outclassed Lenny in every aspect of the weightlifting, powerlifting, bodybuilding, you name it, anything. It was very...
No shit. It's not like it's that hard to do.
I was
and
very...
Lenny admitted it. It's not like he was... He's very delusional, but he wasn't that delusional.
I think Dale's lower body is just out of this world. Those calves and those thighs are definitely...
You want to fucking lick them up and down.
Definitely top notch, but his upper body is very unimpressive. He's got somewhat of a cookie cutter PJ Braun look to him. Too much time doing lateral raises and front raises like Big Richard. These guys with these cannonball delts, and then the rest of their body doesn't live up to it. I don't know why people think that's a good look. I would rather have massive pecs and a massive back. Cannonball delts, when they overpower the rest of your physique, is unattractive. You look like a moron with these giant delts and nothing else to accompany it.
You're just saying that because you don't.
Who would you rather be friends with? A carnist or a vegan Palestine supporter? Kind of depends how much of a Palestine supporter the vegan is. So I don't know.
Don't work shoulders.
I thought Dale's upper body was pretty proportional.
Yeah, he's proportional.
For his height, you know, he's what, 5'8", 5'7", something like that. He's proportional. Yeah.
That's why it's so easy for him to get those big legs. The short femur. He's probably a whale of a deadlifter. A little gnome like that can get low to the ground.
And you're just a fucking beached whale.
Yeah.
You're Lenny. Lenny's the ape and you're the fucking bear.
I think my health is getting better though on my CPAP machine.
I would have liked to have seen Dale come down here when Lenny wasn't 4 weeks before a show. An off-season Lenny when his weight is higher and he's in more of that powerlifting mode.
Yeah,
I'm not making excuses for Lenny. Well, maybe it sounds like I am.
Lenny's
But
never strong.
He can't do a full range.
Stronger, I guess I should say. No, Lenny's range of motion will always be like that. Just, I've known Lenny since 1998, and I know all the injuries he's had and surgeries he's had, so I will cut him some slack on the range of motion, for sure.
Well, we'll see what happens when they compete in the Ruby next year.
He's just trying to get my balls in his mouth.
Little teabag action.
He wanted to watch me fuck his girlfriend the other night. Cuckold Jay.
Little cream pie cleanup. Never hurt a guy. I could be your fluffer and then clean up the cream pie. I'm very picky about the way people spot me. Cookie cutters want to play this game. It's all you, bro. It's all you, bro. No, powerlifting style, you give a lift off, you take half a step back, and you put your hands at your side. So they're not even in the lifter's vision. Hands at your side. See, look, I'm ready. This doesn't make me any more ready. All this does is distract the lifter. And what you try and do when people play these games with their fingers is you try and beat them, and you actually push too hard, and you actually fail. If they keep their hands back, and you're going at your speed, you're actually stronger because you're not running away from those fingers. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. No, you're right. Go ahead.
Brad, were you paying attention? Because you're spotting
I
him.
didn't hear anything he said.
So Brad's going to use 2 fingers on the bar to spot
Don't ruin my set.
He wants 2 fingers up his ass.
Where's Emma? I could use a good smack across the face all day with this.
Come on, Pooh Bear.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
The audacity of this black Florida congressman to claim that black people were better off under Jim Crow. LMFAO what? I'm white and I find that so crazy and absurd.
This guy is a crazy wacko. He also wants to get rid of Social Security. He's nuts. You can... There is sort of an argument to be made about Jim Crow and about how it financially affected black people. Black people were actually doing very good financially under Jim Crow. It's one of the arguments for that was black money would stay in a black community longer under Jim Crow. So that actually had some beneficial effects on the black community. And then after Jim Crow's lifted, more of that money would go out of the black community. But yeah, Jim Crow as a policy was obviously bad.
Jim Crow, the black family was together.
That's right.
During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative minded, but more black people voted conservatively.
That's an outlandish, outrageous, and out-of-pocket observation. We were not better off when a young boy named Emmett Till could be brutally murdered without consequence because of Jim Crow. We were not better off when black women could be sexually assaulted without consequence because of Jim Crow. We were not better off when people could be systematically lynched without consequence because of Jim Crow. We were not better off when children could be denied.
Yeah, like he didn't even use the, you know, he didn't even use the high IQ argument in support of Jim Crow. Jim Crow did seem to have the beneficial effect of keeping more money within the black community circulating. And that seemed to have some positive effects on wealth within the black community. But he was literally just saying, like, under Jim Crow, there was less divorce and the family structure was kind of maintained. Like, that's a really weird argument for Jim Crow.
A high-quality education without consequence because of Jim Crow. We were not better off.
Yeah, but everybody knows that dude is just a fucking whack job. Thanks for the donation, finger my ass.
Yes!
You're a fucking beast.
God damn.
Good fucking 10 out of
Your head's not bleeding, is it?
Of course it is.
I just want to comment on the little tutorial that Dale Chance gave Lenny about training pecs and the value of the lockout and the value of the partial rep, how they both have a place in time. If you watch my set, Dale, you'll see that I employed both tactics, both training methods. Early in the set, I used partial reps, and it was more of momentum lifting. And then at the end, when I was fatigued, I was pausing at the top, taking a giant breath to fill my rib cage, and I would do a full rep. Because if you do a full rep, you can you can blow out, take that giant breath to refill your rib cage with fresh. So I disagree a little bit with Dale. I employ both tactics. Now on a low rep set, I lock out every rep. But when
Niggers, he wasn't talking about black people had more rights and freedoms under Jim Crow. He was saying despite the racism under Jim Crow, black people had the lowest divorce rates, much lower crime rates, and had more fathers raising their kids.
Yeah, that was probably not due to Jim Crow, but thanks for the donation, Kid Boo.
When you're doing over 8, you have to do some partials. You can't lock out 8 reps. We're freaks.
This is a little weird. There's a dog in the weight room.
A dog in the weight room. Look at this.
So there you go. Now you're gonna be in the bestiality, right?
I think the dog just got a whiff of Jay Master's breath.
Holy shit.
Wow. Oh my god.
I should have brought her one. Thank you, girl.
That's a good fucking dog. Holy shit.
That's kind of weird. A dog in the gym.
This is very random. You said it, not me.
Pretty close. The dog is almost as lazy as my ass.
I was just gonna say the dog's doing exactly what you're doing.
Why don't you go lay next to the dog and spoon the dog, Jason?
Spoon it? Maybe I should lick it. Lick its crack.
No.
Lay down right here.
Your back crooked. Your shirts are always crooked and it bothers me.
He's got fucking scoliosis or something.
Scoliosis. It's a rare
His
disease.
shirts are crooked because he fucking chews on it. And he's always got his fucking shoulder.
I was in 2 major car accidents.
I was in 2 major dilemmas.
Oh my god.
I was crushed by a big semi.
A lot of people wish you were.
Why?
Why do people wish you were crushed by a semi-truck?
You're fucking annoying, that's why. You're a fucking annoyance.
I'm funny as hell though.
Yeah, you're funny. We love you though, even though you're a fucking annoying prick.
Yep.
Go on fucking back page and get a hooker once in a while and you'll be good. You have nothing to be depressed about. You have your own condo, you have a car, you have a...
Oh, you can be depressed about your dancing skills.
My Humpty Dumpty skills.
You have zero responsibility.
Humpty Dumpty.
How fucking hard can your
Humpty
life be?
Dumpty skills.
What the fuck kind of skills does Humpty Dumpty have?
Humpty Dumpty broke.
Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, had a big fall.
And he broke and shattered all of his pieces and went back together
I swear
again.
to God, your IQ, when you're lifting for more than 10 minutes, your IQ drops. I feel like him saying all this shit, I feel like a fucking...
Jason to get back in his truck and not even know how to drive.
If I was that guy's teacher in school, I would have slapped him and lost my job. Were you ever touched by a teacher?
Oh, no.
Let's not go there, Humpty Dumpty.
You have this. People just want to hit you.
Hey, Humpty Dumpty.
No, you feel bad if you hit him.
You feel bad.
No, I would feel pretty fucking good if I slapped him.
I'm sure a lot of people would too.
But I'm no Rich Piana. I'm no pussy, Richie boy, synthol, eyeliner. Are you a man or a little girl, Rich? Eyeliner, bro.
He's got a facelift too. He looks like he's got like a plastic face.
He looks like Joan Rivers, kind of.
Oh.
That Joan Rivers plastic surgery overdone.
You might want to see him about hair plugs though. Yeah, he got some good hair plugs. Richie Pussiano.
Yeah, those
Pussiano.
fake plates that guy lifts with. What a fucking joke.
Are they?
What the hell?
You can't help it.
What? How did that even happen?
The nipples coming out.
But how does that happen?
Only when I genetically...
It's so weird.
Instagram
You gotta
of me
get
licking my
some-
finger and doing the nipple, that's so bad.
I'm surprised you remember that.
I watched those the morning after and was like,
You dumb fuck.
wow.
You gotta get some Arimidex. Estrogen blockers.
I like Zemistan better.
Zemistan?
It's the jumping jiggly bean. The jumping worm. We'll do the worm dance.
Sausage tits.
Worm dance.
What's the worm dance?
Do you want to see the worm
Sure. Do I have a choice? No. Oh my God.
Well, you're down there, son.
The worm dance.
Do you think you can refine that passion for working out
When I
that
get
you
ready
used
for
to
the show
have?
next year, yeah, definitely. When I'm starting to die down.
Is that going to motivate you?
That's going to
Start to
motivate
diet down.
in March.
In March. So you can be a Gavone for another, what, 6 months?
Gavone.
You can't start working hard when you diet down. The hard work has to be already be done.
I've already built my foundation.
What?
I've already built my foundation.
What do you mean? Body-wise?
Body-wise, size-wise.
All a bunch of happy horse shit.
Who gives a fuck, you troll?
So go there. You, Dale, and Lenny can compete. You and Lenny won't even place. Dale will probably finish last, and then there's two other guys that'll...
Why couldn't Dale win?
Dude, last year there was a couple big fucking...
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, ripped Jack.
Dale could look huge at about 220 pounds. He's talking about going in at 240. That's too much. Dale should go in, maybe if, I don't know what light heavy is.
198.5 you want to make that.
He's too big?
Too big.
That 7.405 wrecked my lumbar.
It's just nothing but excuses from you fucking asswipes, man. You fucking hurt your back doing bench?
Yeah. It's not the bone, it's the muscles. Oh, God.
You and Jason, full of excuses.
I was not in 2 major car accidents. Guys in your weight class are 29 pounds bigger than you?
Who cares? If I have the biggest wheels, I'll still play spot.
No, you won't.
I'm not gonna go.
I gotta go Brad on him. No, you won't. You'll get...
People think I'm a fucking bully, but...
I'm 220. I should weigh 190, 195.
Yeah, but you can weigh 190 and look great, or you can weigh 190 and look the way you do now.
It doesn't matter. We'll have depends. We'll see. Maybe I'll gain some of them.
Breathe, Jay. Breathe.
Nips.
Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna go heavy on this. Them rotator cuffs are fatigued from that benching.
Oh, God.
Oh, I feel it.
Even he's going.
Even Jason's saying you're making excuses.
You guys have no idea what that does to your body, a heavy set with 405 like that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Remember, my body is ravaged by alcohol.
I didn't know that.
Remember, just 2 days ago, I was wearing lip gloss at the bar.
You didn't drink yesterday?
No. I very rarely drink 2 days in a row. Very rarely.
Really? Why?
Because I don't like to drink when I'm sick. And I usually drink till I'm ill. I'm going to bring in the grip a little, because after that 405 bench,
oh my God,
my rotator cuffs are fatigued. Bring in the...
Excuses.
No, it's called
bro.
being smart.
I'm so fucking glad I don't have an alcohol problem.
Train. You fucking talked to Jason for a half an hour
I'm on
now.
3.
You're fucking making excuses.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
You got the Jason coach.
Break, take it.
Good job. 405 next.
No, fuck no. Dorian Yates, baby. 1 set per exercise.
You gonna vomit?
No, I'm okay.
You sure? Where's the nearest garbage bin? Yeah, no.
A young female and her infant. Mothers are especially wary. Not easy to approach. Up there is an older female. Much easier to make contact.
Former Chinese soldier who served with the Russian army in Ukraine has taken to Chinese social media and is trashing the Russian command and their style of fighting. But just what exactly did this PLA soldier experience, and why did it leave him so outraged? We're going to be taking a look at it and breaking it all down. I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's go. So this is, again, a PLA soldier who was discharged or left the service. I don't actually know the circumstances that he left the PLA, but he enlisted in as a foreign fighter with the Russian army and is now talking about his experiences. Supposedly he enlisted in December, so it's now May, so he has 4 or 5 months of combat experience. All right, well, he's obviously opening. After returning, I ate a lot of butter and
Butter to help with a bowel movement. What the fuck?
and other things to help my digestive system. An aside by nothing, guys, eating a very high-fat diet, not necessarily great for your digestive health. Fiber, that's what you want, man. Fruits and vegetables. It's not really the takes you're here for, I understand. But listen, clearly he thinks it's really important to put this out to his audience, and so I guess I have to comment on it.
就是润滑那个肠胃的，但是还是大出血，十几天，从出发前，到回来以后。
All right, this is actually kind of funny. I guess what he's describing is that the food quality is so poor that it caused constipation, right? And I'm going to try to skip ahead a little bit here so we don't have to listen to this. But this is actually a pretty common problem historically for a lot of soldiers. In fact, dysentery, right, which I guess is the opposite problem, was a really common killer of soldiers in antiquity, right, up until about the Industrial Revolution. Once we figured out germ theory and we figured out what dysentery was, we said, listen, we got to find ways to make food safer for soldiers to eat and prevent the spread of germs among a population of soldiers. And so there became a lot of sanitation, and there became changes to the rations that soldiers would eat. But things like canning, things like preserved meats and other kinds of like tacky, unleavened bread, anything that could be shelf stable for a long time, suddenly became much more normal. In World War II, you also saw mobile kitchens where, for example, the army would have a train of, let's say, cattle that would actually follow it, along with basically kitchen trailers, kitchens on wheels with big ovens where they could bake bread and cook massive amounts of meat. So they would sit there and go, okay, we need to feed a whole brigade today. Okay, we're going to slaughter these calves right here, or slaughter these cattle right here, and butcher them, put them in a pot, cook them down, right? Season it, add some cooking oil, add some whatever vegetables we can get our hands on, and push it out to the troops along with some bread that we baked. Very common stuff. And while it reduced dysentery, you might notice what doesn't feature in that diet is any kind of fiber, like anything that's going to facilitate, swift transit through the bowel. And actually, I have a hypothesis that MREs are designed to not do that. The U.S. military's MREs are actually designed to be very easy to digest, much like hospital food. Hospital food also is carefully calibrated because, remember, a lot of people go in the hospital, and if they have like an abdominal surgery, they need to eat food that's going to pass easily through the digestive system. It's one of those things that's kind of weird to talk about. And in fact, it's kind of weird that I've spent the last 2 minutes telling you about it. But as this guy notes in the first 45 seconds of his video, it's one of those things you don't think about until it becomes a problem. And then it's all you think about.
2个战斗小组，实际上可以划分4个战斗小组，但是打巷战都是头一次。
Okay, so I think this is a reference, fighting in urban warfare as a veteran support force. What I think he's referencing here is possibly the Russian stratification of their military that we've seen, where soldiers with significant experience and specialty, like a specialty grad or MLRS operator, a specialty artillery crew, specialty tank crew, they will fulfill a support role, and the attacking force will be a low-skill light infantry unit. Think like a Storm Z, like a convict unit. They will be the storming force, and the veteran support force. I think he may be referencing his role as a specialist. And I think that makes a little bit of sense. The Russian military probably recognizing that this guy is former PLA. They likely said, listen, if you have combat training and the government of Russia didn't have to pay for it, especially the PLA uses still a lot of Soviet design, like equipment within the Soviet design philosophy, they probably were like, yo, whatever you were doing, you're going to do more of it. Oh, you were a tank crew member in the PLA? Great. You're going to be a BMP crew member here in the special military operation.
老兵，新兵过去，我跟你说，那边的阵亡率啊，就是人进入战场到基本上你死8到10个小时，就是。
Yeah, this is what we're exactly. So he's saying, I think he's saying new recruits are those low skill light infantry forces. Again, think Storm Z convict troops, very poorly trained conscripts from, super rural Russia. Those are the folks he's talking about with these 8 to 10 hour lifespans.
不这么快，那边打了最少得有1个月。 因为很多房间内都有尸体，我给大家发了那个视频，有些视频里面，在房间那都是有尸体的，都是。
Yeah, this is something else that so in the U.S. military, we're actually trained, especially as officers. They say, listen, if you take casualties, what you never want to do is put those casualties, one, in a place where they're visible to other troops who are moving to the front line, because it's really demoralizing to see living troops going to the battlefield and dead troops coming out. Also, what you'd never want to do is that what we were trained, again, as officers, is if you have casualties or KIA, do not put them with the living, right? Because oftentimes one of the biggest fears that wounded soldiers have is that they're going to be abandoned on the battlefield, right? Because you have to think that if you're wounded, you know, you may not be able to get out of the combat zone very quickly. And one of your biggest fears is that if you're routed, right, troops may just leave you because you can't walk. You need to be carried in many cases. And so they'll sit there and go, man, I'm afraid if I get left here in this room full of corpses, that it's their way of saying, listen, you're abandoned and we're going to leave you here to die yourself. The Russians don't seem to do this, right?
地下室都有人，都有死人，都有牺牲了，双方都有。回来的是我、小黑，还有俄罗斯人，还有一个是尼泊尔人，他中了4个弹片。小黑大腿一个，胳膊一个，那个俄罗斯人是大腿一个，我是被那个炮弹然后炸到。
Yeah, so he's describing probably what sounds like fighting in a village, possibly somewhere like Klichiva, or I guess if it would have been in December, it might have been around Avdiivka. But when he talks about, oh, the basements are full of dying troops, that's sort of the fear realized. I think a lot of troops are told to assault a position. The assault fails. They withdraw. They leave some of their wounded comrades. And the only place you can go in these villages, the only safe spot is in the basements of these buildings, right? Because everything above it, we've seen the footage, is basically just totally flattened.
房子上，然后给半边身子给砸住了，给砸中了，你知道吧？上面穿着防弹衣还好，胳膊，然后左边胳膊应该是弹片插过去了。洗澡的时候他才发现。
You may think that you know, he's like, how could you not notice you were hit? But in the surge of adrenaline that happens, especially if you've been like near an explosion, you may literally just not notice. You may just not notice at all that you've been hit until the adrenaline wears off. And again, by the time the adrenaline wears off, that especially if it's small, it may not even hurt.
巷战很残酷，跟我想象中巷战不一样，他妈的！第2个战斗小组、战斗队啊，投入了。也死了好多，之前在老营有2个。
This is also interesting, right? How he talks about these units that he's in. He says, okay, well, there was you know, guys from India. I wonder if they are Indians or if they're Bangladeshi. He gives a location. Okay, Ponderp. Let's see if that is in.
Yeah, that's actually one of the proposed reasons for why Russia is so ineffective. They have so many units that don't speak the same language. They're from China, Thailand, India, Kazakhstan, like all these different places. They don't speak the same language, and they don't communicate well.
India? Ponderp.
Weird. 庞德普人也是印度人，他们去做支援，到现在留的是其他的部队，一直没有回来。他们给我发信息了，他们人还在。
This is the other thing that's fascinating about this war is that one of the things that, like, the U.S. military is just really did a lot of hand-wringing about is cell phones on the battlefield. You know, how do we communicate securely? How do we stop cell phones being triangulated? And lo and behold, it turns out that if you have just a ton of people on the battlefield, the cell phones, you can just go nuts, right? These guys, again, messaging each other on Telegram, on WhatsApp. I've even seen some Ukrainian command centers that are using Discord to do screen share.
卢卡如果治疗了好的话，他腿不用截肢；治疗了不好，腿得截肢。小黑，我从马尾掉到这儿，我都没给他说一句话，是因为。有一天晚上执行任务，有2个老毛子，还有我小黑，我们组成了一个4人战斗小组，像一个防。
Yeah, this is the other thing that's kind of weird is like because of the high fatality rate, the high casualty rate, it seems like they have to form a lot of these impromptu teams where instead of having a trained reconnaissance unit, or even groups of people who are trained in reconnaissance who can coordinate together, they just kind of get hey-you'd into roles. And you know, to be clear, that happens, like we did that all the time when we were in Afghanistan, right? We're just like, hey, listen, I need 4 soldiers to do task X or task Y. And it was just considered, you know, hey, this is a kind of job that anybody should be able to do. But again, it's kind of weird, like, having people conduct reconnaissance, because we've seen, for example, Ukrainians rely on drones to do a lot of their reconnaissance.
房子那边侦察，然后如果有敌人的话就打，在半路的话，然后遇到
Yeah, sending 4 people though, this is also worth bearing in mind. 4 people is not a large enough element that you should tell them to engage at all. The reason I say that is because the general rule is that if you're the attacker, you want to outnumber your enemy 4-1. So if you have 4 or 3-1, so if you have 4 people, the only kind of force you can expect to engage and win with is a 1-person element. If you run into 1 lone person. So having this 4-man team conduct reconnaissance is kind of a waste of time. I'm sorry, it's not a waste of time. Giving a 4-man team instructions to engage with an element if they see it is kind of a waste. Now, it's not a waste if they are the lead element, right? What you can do is say, listen, you are going to go out and you're going to establish contact with the enemy, right? If you get shot, you return fire. But then the plan has to be to reinforce that fire team with an element large enough to win the fight, and or deliver larger strikes like artillery strikes or MLRS or grads or glide bombs onto that target. That might be what it's trying to do. It's called sometimes a recon by fire, or in Vietnam, it was called search and destroy, right? Where you would have an element go out screening, looking for an enemy. They would establish contact and then they would fight, but not try to actually defeat the enemy. They would just try to pin them in place long enough for U.S. heavy firepower to be brought to bear.
无人机，侦察无人机带来了是炮弹。那个是叫 B 级卡，然后是它这边称之为那个。
I was going to say, reconnaissance drones with bombs are attack drones.
攻击无人机啊，就是投弹无人机也好，还有自杀无人机也好，它叫为就是说是嘎米嘎兹。
Kamikaze, which is funny. It's, you know. This is just, I mean, this is like linguistic globalization, right? The Russians call it kamikaze, but he may not realize that he's referring to kamikaze, which is, of course, the Japanese word for, you know, like one-way mission, or you know, it means like divine wind or something in Japanese, but it became the term for a one-way aircraft mission in World War II, and then it became just a general descriptor for a weapon system that goes out, hits its target, but does not expect to return, right? An attack mission that has no return plan. And so now the Chinese guy is like, it's got this thing, kamikaze.
发音，它是有2种那种攻击方式。我们被无人机炸，还被对方。
So he's describing being hit by, so they're all drones, I think. He's saying that there's overhead drones, which we've seen, the ones that position themselves overhead and drop ordnance, and then there's the FPV drones that actually come in at ground level and assault at a horizontal trajectory.
然后近距离我挨了一炮，他这边的用的炮弹威力小，有迫击炮弹是威力小，有一种啊是波兰的，它跟那个这边的那个迫击炮弹发的声音是不一样的。以前呢，其他的国家的一些迫击炮弹，它发声音的时候，弹体啊放到那个迫击炮筒里面，嘣。
I'm very curious about why he describes the mortars as weak, right? And what makes me curious is that, we know that these drones, while very effective and precise, they have a limit to the weight that they can carry, meaning that there's kind of a cap on how large of an explosive charge these drones can really bring to bear. And again, precision offsets the low yield of the munition. But why he thinks the mortars are weaker when they should all be NATO standard, right? 60 or 120 millimeter mortars. And that he may be thinking, he may have seen in the PLA only 120 millimeter mortars, and therefore seeing a 60 millimeter mortar feels underpowered.
爆炸，然后啾，爆炸是一个声音，啾是第二个声音，然后落地嘣爆炸是第三个声音。但是波兰那个迫击炮啊。
Oh, no, he's talking about artillery rounds, 155s. Okay, I wonder why he calls them weak. Yeah, I'm even more curious now. I wonder if it's a reference to maybe he means weak in the sense that when he was there, the Ukrainians would have been very conservative, literally conserving a lot of their munitions. Remember, December, January, February, March was the time when Ukraine was running out of munitions and the U.S. had not yet approved additional aid. So their fire missions would actually be very anemic, right? They would say, okay, we're going to have to use about 1/10 of what we normally would. And so it may be like the shells themselves are powerful, but it may be like the volleys they were launching were underpowered relative to what the Russians were sending. That sort of makes sense.
它发射是没有声音，在空中飞行的时候啊，它也是没有声音的。你必须仔细去听，因为这边是平原，风特别大。你仔细听的话，顺着风听，你会听到呲呲呲，就这种声音。所以说非常非常危险。那天晚上打那一仗，小黑他也是胆小，他以前没有当过兵，之前在装甲部队的时候，他也是打酱油。
Interesting. Again, so it sounds like having no military experience, he should have been I'm not sure what this means. When he was in the armored unit, he was just along for the ride. I wonder if that means that he didn't know what he was doing, but was still serving in an armored unit, or if he literally means that he was being carried to the battlefield in an infantry fighting vehicle or an armored personnel carrier, right? Something where he was like light infantry being brought to the battlefield. We've seen footage of this sort of thing before.
去小树林其他地方做支援，他也没有主动报名去。所以说这打这个巷战，他害怕我能理解，他跑了，2个俄罗斯人也跑了，我不怪他们，这没啥可怪的。所以说是在战场上啊，不要相信任何人，包括你的队友。我说是在国外啊，在国内那不存在，因为咱中国的那个军人呢，那真是生死。
Yeah, this is funny because again. What's worth noting is that, in the U.S. military, I say the same thing. Like, that's just not something that U.S. military soldiers do. But you have to remember the Russian military may have been like this, but because of the extremely high casualties they've had for 2 years, as the Russians themselves, some of their propagandists have started to admit, Russia, as they say, is on its third army, right? There was the first army that went into Ukraine. Those are the highly trained active duty Russian soldiers. And they probably didn't run from the fight, but they received by some analysis around 90% casualties, right? So 90% of them are no longer in the battlefield in any capacity. And they've been replaced by then Russian reserve army, an army of, reservists or kind of backline troops or troops in kind of administrative positions, right? Troops who were fulfilling other duties but had completed their training. Those troops got brought in, and then they suffered a comparable level of attrition over the next year. So now Russia is relying on this army of conscripts. There's a few, there's a skeleton staff who are in command of these units, who have command levels of experience. But by and large, tank crew members, light infantry crews, mortar.
Instead of waiting for Israel to decimate Hamas, why not fly over there and drop that big, brown, purple-tipped mandingo turd cock on Gaza and have it done? Terrorists are no match for your juicy poop dick and its bright purple hat. Share the poop cock.
Okay, I might go and do that. Thanks for the donation, Microwave Poop.
Crews, artillery crews, though these are all soldiers who have, in the aggregate, they're the third line, so to speak, of Russian military forces. And you can imagine if the U.S. military was to have comparable levels of casualties, right? You had every actual trained soldier getting wiped out. Then you had every reserve soldier, everyone with military training or just like a sense of patriotism and duty get wiped out. Now, who are you left recruiting, right? Again, prisoners, people with substance use issues, people who couldn't finish their schooling, people from extremely poor environments where, you know, a couple $1,000s a month seems like might as well be 100 million where they come from. So, you know, this is the comparable strategy, right? Imagine if you were to sit there and be like, okay, the U.S. military is now fighting with, you know, paying just untrained individuals from foreign countries to do some of the fighting. You would be like, okay, this is, I don't expect that much of this military force.
死兄弟，如果真发生战争，他们肯定会救你，甚至愿意付出自己的生命来救你。但是在国外，你只能靠自己。你靠别人他妈的靠不住，我跟你说，兄弟们。还好那天晚上我活着回来了，我找了一个废弃的还没有敌人的，后来慢慢又汇合在一起。小黑一直想道歉，我一直没理他那么多。这次我调到这个马尾这个地方，当时他应该是去干别的事情了。马尾说需不需要跟他们道别？我说不需要，有什么好道别的？古巴在装病，他一直说他有心脏病，小树林的战斗也没去。
Yeah, interesting too. I wonder if this is like a foreign, like some sort of foreign detachment. I know Russia has some of those, but my understanding was that the foreign detachments were volunteers. And I guess these guys are also technically volunteers. But you hear, yeah, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, Cubans, just about anybody who's willing to sign up to fight in exchange for a European passport is willing to you know, get flown out here for and by Russia.
没做志愿，巷战他也没打。
Why is your cock so poopy brown and why does it have a purple hat on? Does Jasmine know about it? Is she okay with your dick being poop colored? Why not get a new cock that isn't poop brown and has a less purple hat? Does it smell poopy like it looks?
Well, the tip of my penis is pink, not purple, but, no, it doesn't smell like poop. Thanks for the donation, Microwave Poop.
之前这装甲部队，然后就是在2线、3线，2线都没有，3线做支援，打酱油。
Right, and that's what I think is also interesting, right? This three-line system that Russia seems to have is really interesting to me, where, and it doesn't look like there's any kind of rotation system. I've heard some other stories that have alluded to Russia doing like they pay you more as you get closer to the front line. Some soldiers are promised that they'll be third line soldiers, but in fact they end up as frontline soldiers. Again, I suspect that maybe there's the first line, which is the again the Stormzy light infantry direct combat units. The second line may be specialty units, drone operators, mortar artillery units, and then third line being like kind of reserve or logistics units, truck drivers, people hauling food to and from, trench diggers, individuals who have like non-combat roles, right? Like truly are not involved in combat operations in any kind of direct way. That's kind of what but it's a hypothesis that that's what the first, second, and third line refer to in the Russian military. But they may literally refer to, because we know the Russians do a defense in depth, they may actually be talking about 3 lines of trenches.
就是其他的我也不知道说啥。对，从出发前，小黑做了一次饭，炖牛肉吃了列巴，到那儿然后 得到了一次补给，有时候是得到了一次补给，吃了一顿饭，后来吃了3次罐头，再剩下的就没吃过其他东西了。3次罐头，有一次我记得清楚是吃的是2罐，一罐牛肉罐头，一罐鸡肉罐头。但是黄油我逮着机会我都吃。
This is actually really interesting to me because if you've ever had
Dude, that is so gross. He ate canned beef and chicken and then ate 4 sticks of butter. Oh my god.
Had the Russian rations, their military rations, they have a really interesting sort of you know how a can, like if you buy like a can of soup in the United States, it's a pretty heavy aluminum can, right? You could even reuse it and put other stuff in it. You shouldn't because the liners are kind of weird, but in the Russian military, what they actually use is like, imagine foil packs. They actually can like pâtés in foil packs. Think like a soft Spam. It's really interesting. And basically they use crackers as kind of their carbohydrate for the whole.
Oh yeah. I get what he's saying. Yeah, that is nasty. That is just absolutely gross. Yikes. I would not want to eat that.
Whole meal. So you just put shit on crackers, is the idea. But again, that was the active duty Russian military's rations. It's hard to know what exactly these talk about now about canned food. When I never saw in the tours of the Russian, the tours of like Russian barracks and stuff, or Russian fighting positions, I never saw components from the Russian IRP, the individual ration pack. Let's see, Russia. You used to be able to buy Russian rations on Amazon, but you could see here they're now gone, right? Probably because of the, what's the word I want? Sanctions, right? In fact, the only one you can see here is actually Ukrainian Armed Forces ration, which is kind of annoying because, you know, they need this to fight. But, you know, it's probably just too tempting.
最少吃4块。我没想到这次打这么长时间，真的。以前他妈的最多打他妈1天1夜。去小树林也是，白天休息，你想干嘛干嘛，然后晚上推进，晚上打，在这儿是不分白天不分黑夜，就他妈干，而且他妈的对方的无人机。
Interesting. I wonder if if he's describing the Russian offensive, right? But there was the offensive in Avdiivka that he should have been a part of. Maybe it was just a unit assignment, and I don't know why he says fight at night, because as we know, I've never seen Russian troops operate with night vision en masse. You know, they could be manning positions at night, going out into positions and occupying them.
They're probably making them fight at night without night vision because they're fucking brokey retards.
And then holding them until a relief shift.
I've seen Russian troops with these old-ass night vision goggles. Dude. Imagine this shit. Imagine fighting with that. That would be crazy. I think that's an IR emitter. But, yeah, I've seen some Russian troops with, like, old-ass Soviet-era night vision. That would be an absolute fucking nightmare.
But this is really interesting. That he says, okay, now we're fighting continuously. which sort of tracks, right? We know Russia was preparing for a summer offensive and that they launched it early because they were really expecting U.S. aid to be further delayed, giving them time to bring their military up to full strength and Ukraine's military to become even more depleted. But that didn't happen, so they launched their summer offensive early, and they're likely trying to offset the lack of preparation with just a really unsustainably high op tempo.
是真他妈的多，我估计你们没有见过那个对方无人机炸坦克。因为这边也有干扰，他妈的大老远都听见，妈的天上无人机比他妈鸟都多，我跟你说真的。那他妈无人机哇，飞过来以后，前面都是一道。
That's interesting. We've heard this from other sources that there's increasingly a they use the word like mothership or like queen drone, but it sounds like it's more like a relay, and that one drone becomes the observation drone and it relays signals to the other drones, the FPV drones. And I've never heard that they actually fly like that, but it would make sense, right? You could have one operator run, let's say, 5 or 6 FPV drones, one after the other. And we've seen that that's kind of the MO, is to sit there and go, okay, here's a Russian column of, let's say, 5 APCs. Then you say, okay, great, we're going to launch 10 FPV drones at this.
Russian bots are out in full force on any Ukrainian frontline video on YouTube, especially the CNN ones. So fucking pathetic. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. They also I'm convinced there's also like pro-Palestine bots being used. It's harder to tell because like real people are literally just copying and pasting like all the buzzwords, but I'm convinced there's a lot of pro-Palestinian bots that are like being run by countries like Iran. But yeah, the Russian bots are hilarious, and it's so easy to tell when it's Russian bots. Because, like, no one is really in support of Russia except from, like, a few crazies. And they'll always talk about how Ukrainians are Nazis, and they were the ones who instigated the fucking war for some reason. Like,
And
so
we're gonna
stupid.
Hit the lead column, hit the lead vehicle, hit the trail vehicle. And then as infantry soldiers like deploy out, then the FPV drones go and strike individual soldiers. So there's definitely an incentive to put a lot of FPVs on the battlefield at once. But I haven't actually heard this level of detail about like the like mothership, queen drone, drones. Queen drone. I'm trying to figure out what analogy to use here. If we're using a beehive analogy, you'd have the queen, but then everything under the queen would be a drone. A queen drone and a warrior drone, I guess. Maybe like a shooter spotter, right? But that's not really the relationship, right? This is more like command and subordinate.
2架，然后排头。你这边如果有干扰的话，你就干扰前面那2架，那后面的无人机，然后空。
Interesting. So if you have a signal jammer, he says, it only interferes with the 1 or 2 drones leading the pack. That tracks. So that, to me, says that these drones, these relays, must have some kind of command function, right? So maybe some kind of automatic control function must be housed in these lead drones, and then the FPV drones must be like receiving signal instructions from the main drone. And that would make sense because that way you can send out one drone with a lot of compute power and no ordnance, and it can talk to 5 or 6 subordinate drones that don't have any sort of onboard brain to do any thinking on their own. But because the signal is local, maybe the jammers somehow are less effective. That sounds really interesting. I'd love to know more about it.
然后排头，你这边如果有干扰的话，你就干扰前面那2架，那后面的无人机，然后空，他妈的炸你周围，炸了你都不敢露头，谁都不敢露头。而且人家那边情报做得很好，这边刚他妈有一台那种就是说是那种坦克，然后进入战场，人家那边都发现了，然后就是说炸了你所有人不敢露头，然后后面有几架那种无人机带了那种就是说 C4 炸药。或者是带了是那种就是说是打坦克那种就是火箭炮那种弹头，就对着你那个坦克嘣一发， 啊，嘣一发，嘣一发，我操，最少2-3发。
Yeah, that again, like we've seen, that's absolutely it. There's we know that Ukraine relies on a shooter spotter. It also uses a shooter spotter strategy where there's an observation drone that observes main thoroughfares, right, key avenues of approach, and then when it sees a Russian tank enter the battlefield or a Russian armored column, the FPV drones go and hit that, in this case, tank he's describing, but will often hit the lead vehicle of a convoy or the trail vehicle of a convoy, kind of locking them into place. And then often you'll see by that time a fire mission will get launched and artillery will take care of the rest.
$2 imagine living in such a shithole country where you freeze your limbs off being homeless in Minnesota and then need to collect cans for a living without hands and toes.
You need a hand, bro? You getting some cans?
Yeah.
Are you selling them?
No, yeah, don't have a place, but I sell them.
What are you trying to get money for?
I have a blood in my brain.
You have a blood clot in your brain?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to your hands?
I'm frozen.
Is it just your hands?
In my toe.
Does it hurt?
When I'm walking, very hard.
Do you need some food? Are you hungry?
Yeah, I'm hungry.
What's your favorite food?
I like salsa, beans. I like something have spices.
Oh, how'd you become homeless, dude?
I can pay because I have diabetes. I have problems. Sometimes too much repression. I can wake up sleeping when I go to my job. When they give me something to eat 4 days a week, I can pay my son the rent.
You lived with your son?
Before.
Did your son kick you out?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have a job?
No.
Can I go buy your favorite food for you?
Yeah.
How about some tacos?
Yeah.
Does the food look good?
We eat. No.
Hey. It's for you, bro.
Hey, for money.
Take
Yeah, bro, that would be a shitty existence. Like, fuck me. That is absolutely fucking terrible. Thanks for the donation, F.
Natural selection at its finest, lol.
Let me take a look.
You good? You good?
Yeah, he smacked the back of his head. That's why you should wear a helmet when you're skateboarding.
Oh shit, Eric.
You hit my head?
Yeah, you hit your head. You went out for a little bit.
I don't know why these people don't just wear a helmet. Like, do you want to be retarded? Do you want CTE? Stupid kid. Thanks for the donation, finger my ass.
Rest.
打他妈的，就是给你打成零件儿。你人往外跑，你跑个锤子，他妈炮塔他妈的蹦几十米外了。所以他妈的这他妈巷战跟我想象中不一样。我想象中的巷战，就好像我看电影一样。我心想没事儿，老远啪啪啪打完以后，近距离人可手雷，一踹门而入，没事看电影。
I'm surprised the PLA itself didn't disabuse this guy, but you know, it's hard to know, right? It could have been the PLA, and that's the People's Liberation Army, the military of China. One is very broad, so he could have been in the PLA Air Force and never, done. Loading ordnance onto aircraft. He could have even been a PLA infantryman, but never really trained on house-to-house fighting or urban combat or clearing. He could have even been somebody who just was like a cook in the PLA army.
$2, can he fight? Let me see.
Fight going down here in this corner. We have Icy Mike, Satan's Backyard record 0-0. In this corner, we have Ninja Ron, Satan's Backyard record 0-0. Gentlemen, this is a beat.
I have a funny feeling the guy on the left is gonna win.
Leave it in the yard. No time limit. Watch your boundaries. Are we ready? You You ready? Let's go. Not finished.
Okay, I think I would have called the fight there.
He's done. He's done.
Yeah, this guy cannot fight. Sword and shield defense.
A long time ago, I was going to make a video about what is the best sword for home defense, right? And originally I was going to make it as a joke, and then I was going to make it for real, because I started experimenting, and I was like, I think this can work. Maybe you don't have access to firearms where you live. Maybe you're unwilling to own a firearm. Maybe you can't, whatever. Sure. I actually think a sword can be legit. I have a list of rules that I think make a good melee weapon for self-defense. But then some HEMA nerd called Shadiversity made a video using my rules, and the guy came to the same conclusions about what the best sword for self-defense really is. Like, he said exactly what I was going to say in the video.
Does that make you a non-HEMA nerd?
So I said, what kind of video can I make?
Sure.
And you've done some HEMA and some of these other things.
I have.
Right?
I've dipped.
Here's what I think. Okay. I think a sword and shield for home defense is legit. But I think that HEMA is unnecessary and stupid. So Cliff is a home invader. I hear him kicking the front door in. I've retrieved my trusty sword and buckler. Go! Yeah, he grabbed the sword. But because I had this, I think this makes the difference. Let's let Eric, he wanted the bat. Eric's got the bat. There you go. But real quick, if you know anything about swords, or even if you don't know anything about swords, comment down below what you think the best type of sword would be for self-defense. I'm still exploring options. I'm still considering doing more videos about it. And do you know what else? They're putting Ronda Rousey in Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends is the sponsor of this video, and I am jealous. I want to be in a video game. For now, I just have to settle for playing Raid Shadow Legends. It's completely free to play. I was blown away by the graphics. If you're watching this, you're probably in February Amazon Prime member, or scan the QR code.
How is Ronda Rousey still a thing? Like, isn't she done? Like, she still has fans?
On the screen to get unique bonuses that are worth 31 XP boost. You're in game, come find me. Got his mouth guard in. We're fighting.
He's horrible.
You did. Thrusting, I think, is the thing. Okay. I'm thinking if I shove this in your face, yep, and then thrust behind it, and I have no specialized HEMA training, yeah, I think I'm wrecking like 95% of dudes. No matter what, if they don't have a gun. If they have a gun and I'm more than 21 feet away, yeah, right, they're gonna get me. And if they have a gun and it's already out and pointed at me, they're gonna get you no matter what. Tough. So Kimura thinks he's gonna start ready to attack. Go!
You got me.
Hey, he got me. I don't know if you were too close or what. He got me pretty good right there. But at the expense of, like, literally. Hey, if you were gonna vastly superior.
I still want to get a Zweihander. I want a nice big Zweihander. I haven't been able to find one that's vegan friendly though. That's the only problem. I want one that isn't leather wrapped, and I haven't been able to find one. Zweihander would be so fucking sick. Yeah, they're such sick swords, dude. Imagine taking on a home invader. Imagine taking on a home invader with something like this. Dude, they'd be fucking wrecked.
And sometimes there's even things like political officers who are in the PLA but aren't in the army.
代入感嘛，把以前看的电影那些动作没事做一遍，哎，感觉挺好，重在体验嘛，对吧？这边不一样，我操他娘的，真的是，那边也狠，这边也狠。说句那个难听点的啊，谁都不会留手，就是子弹最普通的子弹都换成穿甲弹。 就是怕打不死你，就怕打不死。
So I don't know if this is true or not. One, like, yeah, you want your rounds to penetrate the body armor, and if everybody's got ballistic rated body armor, then you kind of have to.
死你，就怕打不死你，听懂没有？哎，再后来打的就是老部队人打完，从其他部队抽调老兵过来，然后给你打配合。 语言沟通不熟悉，打配合打不了。
Okay, wait. I'm trying to figure out what this means. They pull some veterans from other troops to support us after the veterans are finished, which means like so after I guess the more seasoned units are KIA.
打的就是老部队人打完，从其
They
他
pull other seasoned troops from other units to support their attrited unit.
部队抽调老兵过来。 然后给你打配合，语言沟通不熟悉，打配合打不了。那他妈死人，说句实话，那很快的，前2、3分钟还在那抽烟了干嘛来？突然之间接到通知了，然后向另外一个据点、一个房子，然后进攻，那说死就死了。对方的无人机也多，对方只要发现侦察无人机，他带来的是炮弹；发现自杀式无人机，他就是炸你。 我比较幸运，没有遇到那种自杀式无人。
Okay, it's funny. I don't understand the difference between this and a kamikaze. Really interesting that he sees them as being distinct. But it is really one of the things that, you know, I've talked about, that Ukraine is relying on this defense in depth strategy, and they want Russia to attack. Right?
No, Wayne Shung is not in prison. They dropped all the charges before the trial.
Right, like Russia attacking is a core part of the Ukrainian strategy. As he describes, right? It's like he wants to be secure somewhere, but he continues.
Did you ever play the game For Honor? Was one of my fav multiplayers, but Ubisoft forgot about it.
No. No, For Honor looked like garbage to me, and a lot of people were complaining about it, so I never ended up getting it. Thanks for the donation, though, Lib.
Continually gets orders to attack, and the Ukrainians say, literally, the Ukrainian strategy has just become, come at me, bro. Like, do it. And the idea is that they come up, and as he describes, he has to move across a house, across a building, exposing himself. The Ukrainians observe him, and then from a distance, they attack him. It's one of the things that we've seen in a lot of footage where Russian troops often won't see the Ukrainians at all, right? They'll have individual weapons, they'll have their assault rifles, but they'll never really reach the Ukrainian lines.
在房间里面遇到过，但是炸墙。 大家也知道，这边墙体非常厚，在医院的时候，我给大家拍过，墙体厚得很。哎呀他妈的！我跟你说，2层楼妈打成1层楼，就在里面打，就不敢离开地方。然后他妈打成1层楼，妈1层楼打成半层楼，然后他妈趴到那个水泥板底下，然后他妈对方的无人机在你头顶上飞，然后空空炸，我操他妈的！ 大型无人机，带那种他妈的迫击炮弹，然后白天那种他妈小的自杀式无人机。
Yeah, we've seen this where some of these drones, sometimes the Ukrainians try to get through the windows with drones to get inside, because again, it's really dangerous to have an explosive go off inside a secured building, because the shrapnel will ricochet often off of walls and other hard surfaces, and the individuals will have very few places to run inside. So while bombing the exterior, oftentimes it's just less effective. It can be effective with a large enough ordnance, but it's much more efficient to use these smaller drones and get them inside, which if you're like, man, this is like some Terminator level stuff. Yeah, this is like something out of Terminator. And this is why I talk that the era of drone warfare is going to be like pretty terrifying.
你对着窗口炸，妈的，你躲着吗？你真是，我跟你说。
One of the only based Christian Democrats that I've seen. Just an FYI, he was one of the Texas state representatives that was able to kill school voucher scams from growing and spreading in Texas.
Let me take a look.
The Bible doesn't mention abortion or gay marriage, but it goes on and on about forgiving debt, liberating the poor, and healing the sick. Christian nationalists like to say this is a Christian nation. Not only is that historically inaccurate, not only is that theologically blasphemous, but it's also just not true. Look around us. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would forgive student debt. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would guarantee health care to every single person. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would love all of our LGBTQ neighbors. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would make sure every child in this state and in this country was housed, fed, clothed, educated, and insured. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would never make it a Christian nation, because we know the table of fellowship is open to everybody, including our Buddhist, Hindu, Jewish, Muslim, Sikh, and atheist neighbors. Jesus could have started a Christian theocracy, but love would never do that. The closest thing we have to the kingdom of heaven is a multiracial, multicultural democracy where power is truly shared among all people, something that's yet to exist in human history.
Pretty based. If only more Christians were like that. Thanks for that donation, finger my ass. Sword guy donated $2. Which sword would you choose? Number 1? That looks like Wakizashi. Or a very long Tanto. It's not really a sword. Yeah, I would choose the Shamshir because it's actually a sword. This is just a very long knife. Oh, Jesus, I hate watching them cut up meat. Yeah, I'd choose the Shamshir. Thanks for the donation, sword guy.
哎呀，他这边房子跟房子的距离都很远，然后最后我们撤回来的时候，跟其他的部队的老兵，然后打了2个据点，那2个据点旁边是个防风林，打那个据点，我跟你说是死了得有几十个人没打下来。就是前后得有我待这10几天了，就是我知道了，包括我看到了，包括我主队我们进攻的啊，就那块地方我都攻了3，前后得有我待这10几天了，就是我知道了。
Yeah, okay. So again, they're not offensives, they're like attacks. An offensive is like more of a strategic maneuver, right? Something that goes on for weeks or months. But still, 3 attacks in 2 weeks and no territory gained is pretty typical, right? If you've been on this channel, you know that's really common to see Russia launch hundreds of attacks and take just a few dozen square meters in a typical day.
包括我看到了，包括我主队我们进攻的啊，就那块地方我都攻了3次，3次我他妈的说句实话，最近的一次距离就是攻了，就是说100米。对方呢，我跟你说是有那个铁丝网，挖了有壕沟，然后我还布了有那个坦克地雷，还有其他地雷。你那会儿就不带想那什么那个防步兵地雷了，因为对面的他妈的机枪 妈重机枪，还有他妈。
Right. This is one of the things we've talked about is that the use of obstacles in this war has really become essential. So you use this barbed wire, right, not only to slow the enemy's advance so that things like your machine guns and your drones can target them more effectively, but the mines do what's called canalize the enemy. And it doesn't take but a few mines in a field for the enemy to figure out, hey, listen, we can only drive tanks on this one road. We can only have troops go down this one road. And once you've done that, then you sit there and go, okay, well, now we don't have to worry about this whole big field. All we have to do is focus primarily on the road. And imagine if you can train your machine guns and your mortars and your artillery and your drones, and you know that there's like 2 routes that the enemy can possibly take because everything else you've mined. And you'll know if they try to clear the mines because it's a very slow process and your drones will see them.
妈的就是枪榴弹，还有后面的人家的就是说天上的妈的无人机，然后空空炸你，然后迫击炮空空炸你，我操他妈的，还有火箭筒，哎，你没法躲啊！我跟你说，那周围那路上，最粗的树啊，就还没我手腕粗。
We've talked about this, right? He's describing the exact Ukrainian strategy that we've talked about. Force the Russians to attack, force them to become exposed, and then just cripple them with fire. And like, yes, sometimes eventually the Ukrainians lose their position, but Ukraine's goal is to beat the Russians something like 10-1, right? Because, you know, Russia is bringing on about 30,000 new troops a month, which is a huge recruitment effort, but it doesn't have an infinite number of troops. And as he discusses, the quality of that trooper, of the median Russian soldier, is going down pretty precipitously. So all of that is part of the Ukrainian strategy to just attrit Russian forces to the point where there just aren't any more effective fighting forces, and to improve Ukraine's ratio, where they want to have seasoned troops on the front line, and Russia, they want to attrit them down so that they have fewer and fewer veteran troops who can actually fight well.
不好打，我都怀疑那一块啊。
He says bases. He means fortified positions, like a trench line.
那块儿，对方是搞了一个陷阱。这边就是说，我们打下这个房子，然后就是说是，如果对方的对讲机没有打坏的情况下，这边老毛子就拿着对方对讲机然后听。但是啊，人家那边就是立马就换频道了。我们这边也是。
This is the same. Actually, they change channels every hour. In the U.S. military, we have a frequency hopper and a ComSec. Our frequencies automatically change. Our encryption is just us hopping very quickly through frequencies, and that is one of the sort of defenses, is that you'll make small frequency hops in a way that everyone in ComSec can get. As long as everyone has the current ComSec, communication security protocols, right? And those we updated in Afghanistan every single week. So every week, every communications device would get new ComSec loaded on it, and it would be a new sort of map, so to speak, a new sort of way to hop through all these little frequency changes. This is just a very simple version of that, to just click over your radio. But again, simple can work too, right? You only need to be more sophisticated than your enemy, if that makes sense.
所有的频道1个小时一换，你就是如果你要是没有记住的情况下，我操，那完犊子了，你都跟上级失去联系了。还有一种情况就是老毛子死了，对讲机不是不会用，会用，但是这个语言沟通问题，你没办法，都是手机都是全信号屏蔽。还有就是说，你攻下这个房子以后啊，第一时间就是防守。
Right, this is really interesting. He's describing what I talked about, where Russia has a really refined set of tactics for going building to building.
你不防守，对方的迫击炮都已经把这个坐标给标好了，只要这个地方一失守，对方的无人机都开始过来，然后迫击炮弹、他妈榴弹炮开始空空怼你。然后就是说是你在守据点的时候需要支援的时候。对方打了什么子母弹，在他妈空中爆炸，嘣，冒一股青烟，2秒钟 然后噼里啪啦噼里啪啦，我跟你说是方圆他妈的那一大片，我跟你说全部都是子母弹。这个我跟你说，对装甲目标杀伤非常小，但是对人员杀伤是非常大的。
Yeah, this is just fascinating. He's really breaking down the Ukrainian defense in depth strategy. And, you know, I'd be curious to know, like, what does it look like to fortify a building against this? Is it about blocking windows and doors, I imagine? Is it about putting sandbags and other sort of material around the walls? Is it about getting the roof or building like a roof under the roof, so to speak? I'd really love to know.
你不管打哪儿，你那会儿别想着什么防步兵地雷，根本就不会想那些说。你挨上就挨上了，踩上就踩上了，因为对面的敌人让你他妈的根本就没时间思考这个问题，你知道吧？那路上那躺的尸体多得很，盖白布了，有的是盖那种衣服的，那都是我们自己人。还有大家在讨论一个问题，说我们那个
Okay, so I actually have to pause it here, and the reason is because he starts listening to the radio, and they're playing like a Tom Petty song or something, or a song by the Police, but it'll get copyright claimed. But he also just kind of shows some earlier footage. But I think this has been incredibly interesting. If you want to see, right, I talked a lot about the different combat footage.
All right. I think I'm going to end the stream now, but I'm going to do a morning stream and a night stream tomorrow. So I'm going to stream sometime in the morning between 10, 12 Eastern, and then I'm going to do a night stream somewhere between 6 and 8 p.m. Eastern. So I'll see you guys then. Big thanks to everybody who donated on Streamlabs. Really appreciate it. And I will see you all tomorrow. Sweet dreams.